as far as sustained pressure. I would say that they have to put together a full 60 minutes would be their main concern and start with one game at a time. So, yeah, I believe it because they do have those skilled and impactful players in the lineup. I just think that...
What's going on, everybody? John out here with you. I'm going to be joined by Cooper Hopkins for Game 3 here between the Dallas Stars and the Stars-Kraken. We're even in the series at 1. So head coach by Peter DeBoer, it sounds like this: Roope, Hintz, Jason Robertson, Seguin, Ryan Suter, Miro, Heiskanen. Next, Dummy, Mason, Marchman, Joe Pavelski with us, Lindell, and Yanni Hakstol, Wyatt, Johnston, Benn, Evgeny Dadonov, with Thomas Harley and Colin Miller, Hakstol, Luke Glendening, and Ty Dellandry will be on the fourth line with Jake Oettinger in goal. And for the Seattle Kraken, head coach by Dave Hakstol, sounds like this: Matty, Beniers, Ty Cartier, Jordan Eberle with Vince Dunn and Adam Larsson, Alex Wemberg, Jaden Schultz, Morgan Geeky with Jamie Alexiak and Will Borgen. It's Yanni, Gourde, Ellie Tolvanen, Oliver Bjorkstrand with Ryan Donato, Brandon Tanev, and Daniel Sprong with Carson Soucy and Justin Schultz. Phil Grubauer will be in net for Seattle. And let's just give you a quick little reset as we're about 3 minutes from puck drop here on this side. So in Game 1, Seattle won 5-4. There were 6 goals scored in the first period. Pavelski started with a goal with a wrist shot, and his 3 others were deflected. Seattle took a 4-2 lead with 3 goals between 14:20 and 15:20 in less than a minute. But then Dallas responded, and this was a really good one on that side. They won 4-2. After nothing in the first period, it was Wyatt, Johnston, Evgeny Dadonov, and Joe Pavelski. Ty Cartier and Jordan Eberle scored a goal in the third after a Heiskanen stick break. Jordan Eberle did, but Dallas looked dominant. And we're wondering if this is going to be the trend. Jake Oettinger had 25 saves. Phil Grubauer had 33 saves. It was the first time in the postseason that Seattle looked outclassed. And we're going to see if this continues. I know Cooper and I will do the reset. And again, I appreciate Ian on this side because we're going to get Cooper Hopkins in there. He's going to take control of this broadcast on this side of it. But we will have a couple of games to talk about, and especially one that just went final. And the Florida Panthers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. I thought it was a perfect troll job by the Panthers fans at FLA Live Arena, because after they scored the goal there with Sam Bennett, what did they chant? "We want Florida." That's exactly how you get it done on the other end for Florida. So they're poised. They're trying to go for a series sweep. I think maybe they can get it done in 5, but we're 6. There's no way Toronto's going to win 4 in a row. And it looks like the Panthers are well on their way to the Eastern Conference Finals. So when we do get underneath the puck drop, I will get back in here and give the play-by-play.
Time to look ahead here, but it's Dallas and Seattle. What are you expecting outside of amazing?
Well, the atmosphere is first and foremost, but I think Seattle's going to bounce back. Seattle's a team that's really surprised us all postseason long. We're going to have 4 lines rolling. I expect to see it on an offensive outburst and such. I agree. I think rest is very key. I think they played, 90 games in 17 days advance, so finally they get 2 days off. Get back to their game. I think it was fatigue coming off the Colorado series and kicked in Game 2. I think that they're going to have a good effort and take this one home. You got to be ready when you play Seattle the first time that a great coach tells you, you have to be ready. Because that first time they come out blitzing, be ready for it. Kind of like San Jose back in the day, where they just swung the first. You just had to hold the court. You just got to. Well, you got to play. Dallas plays North Style. They're a meat and tails team.
So anybody can tell me if it's a little bit distracting with the window open here. It's kind of hot on this side. I'm not really rolling with the jersey here today. Just sticking with the short sleeve and the shorts on that side, just to make sure that we can get through all this, just in case this game goes a little bit long. Again, we're about 10 seconds away from puck drop here, and then I will bring you into this Game 3 alongside Cooper Hopkins. So I know the vote on this side says that the Kraken bounce back in Game 3. Right now, all of you guys say yes. I mean, everyone that's voted here have been Kraken fans, and they want to see something get done here at Climate Pledge. Again, this is a pivotal swing game, and we're going to have to see who is going to take the best of it right now. So Jake Oettinger, 5-3, 231 goals against, 921 save percentage, and a shutout. He's been exceptional in the postseason. Phil Grubauer, he got roughed up in the last game, but we will see if this continues. 5-4, 274, 917 save percentage. He does not have a shutout yet in the campaign, but I think this one would go a long way if they can try to do anything to slow down the Dallas Stars as we get underneath the puck drop now. So it's a series tied at 1-1, and the puck drop is underway with the Dallas Stars winning the draw. As Seattle Kraken, they're going to have these next 2 games here at Climate Pledge. And bring this now with a long wrist shot. This goes up the right side wall. And picked up here by the backhand of Miro Heiskanen as this is shuffled back around. This will knock it near the right side of the red line as this is flipped up and around the tentacle S. And now with a delayed offside, it's Seattle go back and check up here and toward the right side walls. They'll flip it in alongside Yanni Gourde. This goes a little bit too far, but Gourde able to pick it up. He's trying to shift off the Stort side, and Jake Ottinger just swatted the puck away like a fly. But this is still with Seattle now and behind the office. Suter trying to find the puck, and now Seattle continuing to buzz. They've just opened this up the puck drop. This goes just away from Jaden Schultz and put back around the end boards now, as this will be a chance for Miro Heiskanen. Heiskanen now. And across the red line as Dallas will get their first puck possession in the offensive end. Try to get this near the left side dot, as this is played near the left side of the red line, and bodies will come together. It was loose out in front for a moment, but Seattle was a good job of just controlling that crease. As it's Lindell into the traffic, it's a slow-moving puck, and this is picked up by Seattle just before it went across the blue paint. And now Seattle in their own end. Gotta go Adam Larsson. They'll do this again with Vince Dunn. So they're going to let their forwards take a change for Dave Hakstol's squad, as they're about 18:25 left to go in this first. John under with you alongside Cooper Hopkins, who has just joined in. I'm sure we'll be mixing and matching here between the play-by-play and color as we get along throughout this game, as this is near Eberle now. Eberle now with Beniers, so Dave Hakstol with the last line changes. He went with the first line, a little bit of a hybrid approach from the third line to start. As this is Heiskanen now. We'll play this up beforehand. I think it was Colin Miller that actually got a piece and cleared it down, but he also got dumped. As this is sent back around here for the defensive core with Carson Soucy. Eberle loses it. And now this will be with Dallas. Cross the red line, and Robertson gets smashed. As this is picked up now on the left side of the red line, he got absolutely obliterated. But now, this is a cross pass, and this is picked off by Soucy. Eberle now, as this will bounce back, and we got a delayed little camera feed, but it's back now on the TBS side. 17:35 left to go in the first, as this is recollected by Daniel Sprong. His stretch pass will easily get picked off by Dallas. Dallas now on the right side of the faceoff dot will work this in behind the cage with Ronick Faksa, and they'll just hold it in there with Miro Heiskanen, as this is with Jamie Alexiak off of a double reverse hit near the right side of the faceoff dot, still chasing on the puck. What energy this game has brought on right now. Alexiak gets hit hard, and the puck gets deflected, and Grubauer finds it and holds on. This is not a very tenuous start. There is a lot going on right now, and Ty Dellandrea wants a hold of Jamie Alexiak.
Sunday evening, and boy, no rest on this weekend. It's all action in the NHL. We got a lot of things to cover, and my goodness, my friends, this game started with some serious heat.
Yes, it was, and my apologies on that one. It was Mason Marchment that got introduced to the defense there of Seattle. That was a thunderous hit.
Yeah, the Kraken are coming out with the energy of their home crowd, and you know what? They've been such a good road team. My goodness, I'm getting a replay on that hit that you just described. Marchment up-ended, getting taken off of both his skates by Soucy, and that's not a way to start a game. I don't know what is. That's a message sent by the home squad.
Absolutely. This is a 1-1 swing game. There's all sorts of intrigue here, and there's a bunch of storylines that we will be talking about throughout this contest. As this is Robo. He's got the puck now off the chip and chase, but he gets taken away from it as this will fall back to Adam Larsson now. Larsson will spin this around, and Bjorkstrand will hit it across the wall, and Yanni Gourde will fire it all the way down, Tolvanen, as this will be picked up actually by Dallas. This will go all the way back around across the red line. It'll work as a clear of sorts. As now Wyatt Johnston is out there with the pinch, as this is in behind the net of Philip Grubauer, and a stretch pass will go all the way down the ice. Will this be called? Yes, it will. So Seattle can't change with 16:09.
So, John, while we have a moment, let's just look back to the other coast where a game came to a conclusion just a few minutes ago. That is a 3-2 overtime victory, courtesy of Sam Reinhart of the Florida Panthers. The Toronto Maple Leafs now way in the hole, down 3-0 in that series. Do they even have a shot at coming back in that thing, John?
They could win maybe 2 at most, but I'm going to say no. But it was the ultimate troll job of the Florida fans after they won the game. What did they chant? We want Florida. Good work on them.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Smart fans there in the Sunshine State. And my goodness, the Panthers, after just getting out of that first round, they are looking like they're dancing their way forward. And you know what? Seattle's here looking very strong to start this game as well. But Dallas is so stalwart. They're going to have a pushback here. The Kraken are going to have to keep an eye on things at home.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great playoff series. And as you referenced, Florida has won a franchise record 6 straight playoff games, 3 against Boston, 3 against Toronto. It's about the toughest road that you could ever ask for. As this is picked up underneath the action now, if a long outstretched pass will elude Sprong and played by Jake Ottinger. It's intercepted quickly to the net. What a save! With the right glove hand, he bailed himself out to Jake Ottinger as the last line of defense. As this is sent back down, and now Seattle can look to start again. Will Borgen with his outstretched pass as this one goes a little bit too far, and it's iced.
Yeah, John, I mean, that's what Jake Ottinger can do. Now, he created a little bit of a dangerous situation for himself, but he gets back into the blue paint and looks pretty calm and collected as he makes a stop there. And the Kraken, even though they don't have a pile of shots on the board here, they have been pressuring in the offensive zone to start. So we'll see if they can piece some things together and get a little bit more of an orchestrated offense going as we're just about 5 minutes into this thing.
Yeah, they need to, because I referenced this a little bit in covering game 2. It looked like the first game that Seattle looked overmatched in these playoffs. We know what Dallas can bring, but it'd be important here, Cooper, on that side for Seattle to kind of save face and bring a good effort here in game 3.
Yeah, no question about it. And as we've noted many times, John, as you have as well, whether I've been on the call with you or not, Seattle gets production from throughout their lineup, and I'm expecting that to be the same this evening.
It's going to have to be on this side again because Dallas is a really good team. Here's a flip pass. This will go off the side of the cage, and that was a pretty dangerous combination play. I think they're mixing Seguin and Robertson a little bit on that side too, so we'll have to manage that first line. It doesn't look the same way intact as it's always been. Here's Jordan Eberle. Here's a race off the backhand. What a setup! And that one goes wide, unbelievably. Here's a long shot. And this one gets blocked. I thought Jordan Eberle was going to take that one coast to coast. And now it's Olli Tolvanen. They'll fire this one, but the sauce pass goes too far. And now it's Larsson to settle it back down for Seattle. But they've certainly had a little bit of buzz as they've iced it again. But this is more pressure than we've seen pretty much in all of game 2.
Yeah, most definitely. Eberle definitely has some jump tonight. He almost got onto his forehand for a point-blank shot. Ultimately couldn't get the shot away. He was checked from behind just at the last moment. He still was able to get a backhand pass off to the trailer. It was Oleksiak, as you noted, and Oleksiak almost able to punch that thing into the cage. But it remains 0-0 here. And so a really good job by those skaters wearing that deep navy here for the Kraken. I think we're going to hit a timeout, John. But, boy, my breath has already been taken away by some of these forwards for the Kraken.
Yeah, there's been a lot going on here early, and we're still not even at the 14-minute mark because this is sent all the way down. I know we like to use flame references sometimes too, but Jimmy Oleksiak trying to play that Nikita Zadorov role. When he'll pinch, he'll go. We've seen him do that a lot in game 2. He's already had a chance in game 3 where the Seattle could have already scored, and it's 4-2. And this is played off the right side of the boards, and this is iced yet again against Seattle.
Yeah, but just a heads up for you, my friend, as has been the case occasionally as we've gotten together to cover games. I'm behind you by just a handful of seconds here, so if it takes me a moment to just catch up with the action, please forgive me. But, yeah, this has been what else can I say? We could go into any number of details, but just the umbrella statement so far is really nice push from the Kraken. Now, what I'm a little bit concerned about, not necessarily with any worrisome way, just making sure that they don't burn themselves out early here because they're at home at Climate Pledge. Dallas doesn't look too shaken. They've had a couple of close calls, but we know how strong they are both mentally and physically. So Dallas is prepared for this kind of a push.
I think that's a really good call by you, and that'll be something that we continue to monitor. As here is a wrist shot that gets deflected. This will fall back here for Dunn. His outstretched pass. That was a dangerous pass that Max Domi almost got a hold of, but this will go back here for Seattle. They'll flip. They'll let their forwards take a change. Yeah, it really has been all systems go right now for Seattle as we just hit the 7-minute marker. This is flipped down the ice again. This will not be ice. It'll be brushed aside the goal stick by Jake Ottinger. And then flipped in across the right side boards. Gained across the red line here for Seattle. And Jake Ottinger will get back on the same side across the trap as Wyatt and play it again, as Dallas will look to break out. But now this will be Dallas's turn to not make any personnel changes. They have iced it.
Yeah, John, I'm just interested in the fact that it seems to be pretty consistent around NHL and in hockey media in general. The Kraken, one of the top stories locally in Seattle is really how quickly the bandwagon has filled up and there's plenty of room. It's sort of the bottomless box, if you will. There are just tons of folks in the Pacific Northwest that are realizing how good and how special and how fun to watch this team is. And they see the challenge in the Dallas Stars, but I think that they believe, and my point is that the media seem to believe that the Kraken not only are going to take this game, but have a real chance to knock off Dallas in this series. It seems like belief is starting to grow for the Kraken.
And some of my Dallas friends on the other end, they've mentioned to me how good Seattle is, and they know that it's going to be a challenge. So I don't think anyone in Dallas is essentially thinking Seattle is going to be a pushover. They're expecting to have a good series, and so are we, my friend, as we're about 12-10 left to go in the scoreless first. I feel like there's been a lot of scoreless firsts alongside my first period. You're going to have a lot of the action on you, as this is flipped all the way down the ice. This is played at the goal stick by Ottinger. It'll work as a 200-foot clear, and Roope Hintz will get this one across as it's played by Miro Heiskanen. Now there's a long shot by Hintz, and this one is held by Grubauer. At least I thought it was. They didn't blow the play dead. My goodness, this was sent across the other way. That was almost an absolute disaster. And now Jordan Eberle with an outstretched pass. Here's Matty, stays on side, but it's a little bit too long for him. And now Lindell, he takes some body contact and across the red line now. And this will find the stick of Will Borgen. Here's something that we have to reference for game 2. It was Carson Soucy with 6 penalty minutes. And out of the 10, it was all Seattle defense that got themselves in behind the 8 ball. They can absolutely not afford to do that right now at home against Dallas. You don't want them going up 2-1 because we know how good Dallas is on that side. As Larsson, this goes away from him. This bounces off the referee's skate and picked up now by Dunn. We'll spin, keep this alive off the forehand, get around 3 Dallas Stars, and then across the red line now. But it just seemed like there was more Stars on the ice as this falls back here for Colin Miller. Here's his outstretched pass from 150 feet. This will go off the backboards. Grubauer will softly chip this around, and this is going to try to be a play in transition, but this will fall to Dallas again at about 10:40 left to go in this first. John here with you alongside Cooper Hopkins, and then we're going to be switching off. It's 4 shots to 3 in favor of Seattle as this gets knocked away from Tolman, and now Marchment, the one that got a huge hit put against him, he delivers one as this is in behind the office of Grubauer. Here's a shot that gets off, I thought of the netting, but this stays in play off the side of the glass. Here's Suter, and the deflection, and Grubauer will find it, and this time he will hold on.
Yeah, John, one thing I want to point out and get your thoughts on is the fact that the Kraken have played so many games in a row with very little rest, or relatively little rest.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand it's the playoffs. You're gonna have to go on a run here if you don't necessarily get the luxury of multiple days off in a row. But after that loss to Dallas most recently, that brought this series to a tie of 1-1, the Kraken did get a couple of days off. Get to travel back home and back in Seattle, just take a breather. Get back to the rink and get back to their game. It looks to me like that has paid off, and we'll see if it sustains itself over the game or the course of the evening, which is to what we were speaking about just a couple of minutes ago.
No, it is. It's very important to get those extra days because if you're playing a full 7-game series like Seattle did against the Colorado Avalanche, that means you play every other day. Last year for the New York Rangers, they had a pair of 7-game series. They had 14 consecutive on-off days, and yeah, that definitely adds up, especially in the postseason. And let's face it, Grubauer's been playing the best he's ever played so far throughout this year. You need that time to be able to kind of recharge the batteries and reset because Dallas really had a good game plan in Game 2. They limited Seattle's attempts for the first time that we've seen, and I think they can use an extra day right now. They're coming out all systems go, but as you said, I want to monitor what happens in between the middle of the second, late in the third. I don't want to see Seattle burn the energy off both ends of the candle.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And as I always point out, you and I most often pretty much of the same mind when it comes to a lot of different aspects of this game that we both love so much. But, I love that you mentioned Grubauer in particular. Of course, we're going to be talking about him plenty tonight. He's been so important for the Kraken, absolute cornerstone of their success in these playoffs. And I have no reason to believe that this is going to happen. But maybe it's the Seattle fan that's deep in my heart. The Mariners fan, the Seahawks fan, pre-Russell Wilson, back when they were just kind of an afterthought in the NFL. It makes me think about the Kraken and how well Grubauer has played for them. I just hope the clock doesn't strike midnight. And that makes me think about what we were just discussing, which is the fact that he, I think most importantly, got that extra rest. And I think that's going to bode well for the Kraken netminder.
You know what I could appreciate, Cooper? Alongside your fandom, you're also a realist on that side, because I'm kind of thinking the same thing. You never know what's going to happen with Cinderella and that last slipper on that side. And that's what Philip Grubauer is kind of playing as right now alongside this Seattle team. But again, they do deserve to be here. We definitely agree on that, but you just kind of wonder because Dallas, they're a really, really good team, not just because of the second round, but all the way across the board, the way they mix their lines, and Jake Ottinger as well. I mean, this is a team that can make a deep run. There's a long wrist shot. This one gets blocked, and another opportunity. This one bounces off of Dallas and sent back around the other way as Heiskanen will try to play this off the backhand, and this will be recollected. This gets knocked away from the pink visor and Morgan Geeky, but he will try to get this across the tentacle S. It's chipped in off of skaters. A turnover. Radek Faksa cross pass, and that was a good diving block the other way by Will Borgen to deny what could have been a sure goal. And now this will be Turbo. He's going to race for the puck now. He commonly plays on the fourth line, and offsides, I believe, is going to be the call with 9:16 the first, unless we're going to get a penalty. Jamie Alexiak looks like he might have got hit in the mouth.
Yeah, John, I apologize. I'm a few seconds behind you here, so we're both going to have to keep our eyes on things. And Boyle, Alexiak in a previous sequence threw a hit on one of the Stars that was a little bit dangerous in the corner, but it didn't seem to be a call there. But we do have a stoppage. And what are you seeing on your side, my friend?
It looks like we're just getting a routine commercial break with 9:16 in the first.
Yeah, I did notice what you saw there with Alexiak kind of had the hand up to his mouth, and now we're getting a replay of Faksa, his attempt to pass across that was denied by Will Borgen. I really like the play of number 3 in Navy, and he gets down in the slot area and prevents a cross-ice pass that, as you said, could have resulted in something big for the Stars. So we hit our break, and we're still tied at 0-0.
Yes, we are. I know there'll be a lot to get to as far as these intermissions, but as far as the end of game and we do our post, I'm just going to take maybe like a minute and a half. I won't take too long, but I want to address some of the situations that unfortunately went across Dallas throughout the state here today and yesterday, because I know some of those we'll talk about at the end, just to kind of keep everything together in order alongside all of our hockey coverage, I should say, just to make sure that we always take care of our T's and dot our I's and do everything that we need to do, Cooper, because sometimes news events, they do get in the way, and it did happen to impact Dallas today, unfortunately.
Yeah, no question about it, and I know that we jumped right into our coverage here, and hey, the Stanley Cup playoffs are exciting and important, and of course a big focus for sports fans everywhere. But you know what, life and the loss of life are much more important than anything happening on the ice tonight. So I'm glad that you have that in your mind, my friend. I do as well, and we'll certainly touch on that because that's most definitely the right thing to do.
Yep, we will definitely do that when we get toward the end of this game. But when we get in our first intermission, I will have to, this is jokingly a little bit, but I will have to give a public apology to my broadcast partner on this side. But we'll have to stay tuned for that event when we get through this first. I think this one was shot in the glass, and we will do it again.
Yeah, John, no, it is going to be a fun one. I'm really excited to see who opens the scoring here. And you know what's really interesting? We got just a few seconds ago a shot of Dave Lowry, who not only was a Calgary Flame at one point in time late in his career, but he and Sam Reinhart of the Panthers are in the same club now. Dave Lowry, one of a handful of players for the Panthers who have scored an overtime winner in the playoffs. He was actually the first to do it back in 1996, and now Sam Reinhart from Florida with that 3-2 win over the Maple Leafs, he's got one as well.
Absolutely incredible. I heard that again at the end of the broadcast when they got the Bennett goal as this is sent here for Larsson. About 8:40 left to go in this first. This will be picked up by Seattle, but there's all sorts of contact here. This will stay with Yanni. Gourde set it up, and this is blocked in front before it ever hit Jake Ottinger. There was just a mass of redwood trees there, but now it's a 3-on-2. Miro Heiskanen, he's wrong guy to give it to, as this is Robertson off the stretch pass, but Dallas was in the midst of a change on their defensive personnel, and they'll have to play this back in their own end. So that's Lindell off the give and go a couple times. We'll start this one again. This bounces up the left side skate as Jamie Benn eludes a hit on the captaincy, and this is picked up now by Evgeny Dadonov. And now quickly trying to push this the other way is Jordan Eberle. He's just trying to get around a couple stick battles. 48 hits and 19 blocks from Adam Larsson, and 25 minutes of ice time there, so he's definitely been one of the best. Here's a backhanded pass. Evgeny Dadonov trying to play this off the back skate. It's Jamie Benn. Here comes the bomb, and this is near the left side of the crease, and this is sent back around, but Dallas will be the first to get to it. Here comes a long slap shot by Lindell. Seattle just trying to find this in between some blades and sticks, and it's Jordan Eberle. We'll send this the other way. We'll play this right off the glass and picked up now here for Dallas as this is sent back around. This is cleared out of the neutral zone right now. It's Joe Pavelski. He's got 5 goals in the last 2 games. And again, Cooper knows about all of that, but it was a 4-goal performance that ended up being a loss as this is flipped in from a long pass and now near the left side of the red line, sent back around the inboards. It's Harley. Set up the slap shot again. Good block out in front, but it could have been friendly fire. Harley again off the left pad of Philip Grubauer. And now Dallas trying to find their footing. They're definitely starting to get to it now. Daniel Sprong trying to get it out. Harley with a stick lift. And this is recollected now by Jimmy Alexiak, former Star. He'll play a long pass here. This is right in rhythm. Here for Morgan Geeky near the right side of the wall. Trying to keep this alive up the forehand. Now play it off his backhand. Trying to get this one across for Elik Tolvanen, but now this will fall back to Geeky, but it's just him against 3 Dallas Stars. This will get to Seattle, though. They keep it in across the blue line. Larsson into the screen, and this is recollected off of a sauce clear. I think it was Roope Hintz, and now this is sent down the other way. Seattle off the back skate. Good pass there by Vince Dunn, but he's going to have to go back and try to chase this one as he gets taken down, and now Seattle still fighting amongst the skates and blades. It's Roddick Fox. Again, it's 1 Seattle to 3 Dallas Stars. This is near the right side of the boards, but now the former Red Wing Luke Glendening will get this one across. This is played in behind the net and then cleared down into the neutral zone, stolen by Seattle. And now they'll get the puck possession again. About 5:55 left to go in the first. We are offsides against Seattle.
You know, John, one thing I've really liked so far, and this has been in all 3 sections of the ice for Seattle, is their team passing. I like that they've maintained some focus and stayed calm in their D zone, even though Dallas has gotten that puck pretty close to Grubauer, and it's zipped it right through the blue paint a couple of times. They've collected that puck. They've been able to find nice outlet passes, and they're tic-tac-toeing through the neutral zone if they're not opting to skate it through. And then when they do hit the O-zone, I love the drop passes. We got some good backhand passes going. They haven't connected for a real shift of full O-zone time, but I think that is coming. They look good so far.
Yeah, they do. It looks a lot different from game 2. And we talk about from the opening, as you said, about the rest. It certainly looks like Seattle has definitely got that edge of it right now. But again, as you said, you're going to look toward the back end of this game and see if that continues. Dallas, they've looked relatively unbothered with the Seattle pressure so far. That does give me a little bit of pause. But I also think, too, the Seattle team that got kind of beat up a little bit in that second game, that was not what Seattle normally looks like. And I expect this game 3 is going to be really exciting. Maybe we will get in overtime or a 1-goal game or something that's pretty close, pretty spectacular. I feel it might be in the cards.
Yeah, I think so too. It seems like that's the way the day has trended now that now we have a few hours between us and the massive victory for the New Jersey Devils tonight. 8-4, my goodness, an absolute smash of a job against the Carolina Hurricanes. And I did see something on Twitter that made me chuckle. It said something to the effect of, go up in a series against the Devils 2-0 at your own risk. And I think the Hurricanes have learned that lesson. Certainly, they are the type of team that could stretch that lead, which they still have the series of 2-1. They can make that thing 3-1 very quickly. But the Devils seem to be woken up now. And look out, we know what they can do when they get rolling.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because I was going to ask you that same question. But really, an 8th spot against the Carolina Hurricanes and that defense, that's an eye-opener.
Yeah, I know that Carolina still scored 4, but for a while we were looking at a 5-1 scoreline there, and it always looked like the Devils were going to run away with it. They took that game by the neck in the first period. I think they had 4 in the first, didn't they, John?
Yes.
And really just never looked back. I think Carolina may. I don't want to make any assumptions, but holding a 2-0 series lead going into that contest. And then getting smacked around like they did in the first. I don't want to say that they just gave up on the thing. But, maybe there is something to be said for saving a bit of energy knowing that you still have a series lead if you take the loss.
You know what? I think there is something to that because, like you said, you play every other day. You got to conserve something if you know it's not in the cards, don't you?
Yeah, that's sort of what I'm thinking, and I think you're picking up what I'm laying down. And you know what? With about 5 minutes to go here in the first, I would be really excited if the Seattle Kraken could find a way to get one past Oettinger. But to your point, when we were coming back from break, we don't have to see a team look exceptional to know that they're good. The Stars just look like the normal Dallas Stars, and that means Seattle has to keep the pressure on.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't let it turn the other way. I wholeheartedly agree. As this is 5:25 left to go in the first. This is just casually brushed aside by Jake Oettinger. Now Jordan Eberle out there with Matty Beniers. I'd like to see Matty Beniers get on the goal scoring sheet, but I'm not going to go ahead and I'll say this when we get a stop and play, but I'm not going to say what Dallas radio said against Jason Robertson, and I'll leave that just for a few more seconds until we get a stoppage. Here's a long outstretch pass, and this is picked up and across the red line now. This will be flipped into the benches. But I heard on the Dallas radio alongside some inside information, they were saying Jason Robertson might be a little bit overrated because he doesn't have a lot of points in the playoffs. But my counter argument is this. He had over 100 points in the regular season, and he's still 23 years of age because I saw Matty Beniers get a little frustrated the other day in Game 2, and he got banged up a little bit. He's only 20. Let's let these guys skate in the league a little bit before we try to crown what they're going to be.
Yeah, thank you very much for trying to have cooler heads prevail here, John. I mean, you know what? I have a reference near and dear to my heart. I remember a lot of Calgary Flames fans complaining about Johnny Gaudreau's playoff numbers. You know what? Now we see what that team is like when he is not on the ice wearing the flaming C. So the contributions, yeah, they show up on the score sheet, but a lot of times it's what the players are doing in between those lines. It's not always numbers, so be careful what you say.
Absolutely. 4:44 left to go in the first. We know how good these players are. And again, look at Ty Cartier and some of his contributions from the Coachella Firebirds, and that was Cooper Hopkins giving me that call out on that side. Here's a chance for a 3-on-2, a jumping Grubauer, but this will go away from him. Kind of look like Mario, Luigi right there on that side. I think that's what you call him. You got two of the same names. Is this sent back around for an icing again?
Yeah, things getting a little less, I don't want to say less intense, John, but I do think both teams have settled into this game now. Again, no real fully clear high danger chances of late. There were a couple earlier in this period, but this is starting to even out a little more, and I believe that's what we both were expecting.
5-4, the shots here for Dallas. They're in favor of that as we're still scoreless. We're just over 4:22 left to go in the first. Here is something that we do have to talk about and make a mention of it now, but in the intermission especially. Seattle, we knew they're not very good on the draws, but they're getting dominated in this series right now, and that has to change at least a little bit. This will start now here for Seattle in their own end, and I'll tell you just how much that is when we get into intermission. And this is sent back around. This will take a look here for Seattle, but Max Domi and his line will get a chance to pick this up now. Joe Pavelski, this gets knocked away from him. I guess that's a good thing. Anytime the Seattle fans can hear that when he touches the puck, you get him anywhere near the net with a hand-eye deflection. It's probably too late as this is sent back around the inboards here for Max Domi. It's turned over for Donato. Here's Sprong. Oettinger onto the goal crease, but Dallas did a great job there with Colin Miller just to make sure to form a wall in front of that crease. And now Donato. He gets it knocked away from him and across the tentacle S as it's offsides yet again, and Donato absorbs a hit.
Yeah, so more whistles here in the final quarter of this first period, and good call by you. Boy, the Kraken did get in close right there and put a little pressure on Ottinger with the puck on the stick. It was Spronger, the former Washington Capital. Thought he might release one right there, but he had a tough angle. Not sure he was able to elevate it up and over the left shoulder of Jake Ottinger in net for Dallas. But yeah, John, this is starting to become a real even playing field. The Kraken still looking solid, but Dallas has not, as you put earlier, I really like the phrasing you used, has not been bothered. They look very strong. This is definitely an even match.
And that's what you want to see, especially in these Stanley Cup playoffs, or anything that you watch, sports related or whatnot. You want to see something compelling. And I think that these two teams can definitely bring that out amongst each other. As it's Radek Faksa, one of the Dallas Stars has to go get a stick, but Seattle's still having trouble with this thing in their own end. This will be sent across the left side of the red line. And it's gained across the red. We'll take some full-scale changes here for Dave Hakstol's squad. Again, it's a fast-moving first period as we are scoreless. Again, that's been a lot of these here for Seattle. Anytime I cover the first period, I don't have a lot of action on top. But the one action, we do have 15-2 on hits in favor of Seattle. Now into the neutral zone. Here's a long ripper of a shot from Schultz. And Jake Ottinger makes an easy save. I think that was Bjorkstrand.
Yeah, I wonder, John, if Bjorkstrand, now that we mention him, I think that's maybe the first or second time we've heard his name in this period. I wonder if he'll relive some of that magic that he found a couple of games ago. I mean, he was about an inch away from a hat trick, not only 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 times or more.
Yes.
He was a big reason that the Kraken are even in this position right here in Game 3 of their series against Dallas.
So it's Yanni Gourde against Wyatt Johnston. And again, Wyatt Johnston heard the story that he stays at Joe Pavelski's house. And he's being trained from one of the best on that side alongside faceoffs and everything else. And now it's Jamie Benn on the other end. And him and Pavelski have been excellent on the draws, but they lose that one. And now it's Larsson into the traffic. This one will go wide near the left side of the red line. Yanni Gourde trying to recollect this thing. It's now 5 shots to 5, about 2:25 left to go in the first. And this is, let me count, maybe the 8th icing of the period.
Yeah, John, I'm not sure there's an explanation for it. It's just one of those things in hockey. We're getting a ton of whistles now after we had some really fluid play earlier on. And I don't know if that's going to necessarily be a detriment to either one of these teams. I mean, of course, they're used to game flow, and sometimes that means things get a little choppy in terms of the referee involvement. But you know what? I'm going to say that just ever so slightly favors the home side. They're going to get the crowd behind them and just that little extra push. So if things stay choppy like this, just a touch of benefit for the Kraken.
We will see if that takes place here, especially with the end of the first period upcoming. We'll see if we get anything here. It doesn't look like it right now, as it's Lindell across the red line. I'll flip this in. This goes in between Larsson's skate. He's kind of been stuck there a couple times in no man's land. He's had the puck bounce right to him. And you got to have your head on a swivel, especially when you're the last on the defense. But he's doing a good job. Great steal by Matty Beniers. Getting through the neutral zone. Here's a long shot. And I like that confidence there. He made a good skate in. And Matty Beniers, he just liked what he saw. Took the shot, but Ottinger held on.
Yeah, that's what I think we need to see from number 10. I know that you mentioned him, and with good reason. You may or may not be wearing your number 10 jersey at this very moment, but I will say that there's something in the back of my mind. I'm just going to make an outright prediction here. I think we're going to see a multi-point game from Matty by the time this night is over. So I'll go on record thinking that he's going to break out a bit tonight.
And you know who's going to be very excited if that comes to fruition? I think both of us, actually.
Yeah, that's going to be just like we said. Who benefits from the play with more whistles? We'll have to see. Yeah, who's going to be more excited if Matty Beniers has 2 or more points tonight? It'll be a tie between us, I think.
And this one is flipped just wide on the second opportunity from Morgan Geekie. That was a good save in close by Ottinger. Again, he's kind of channeling a little bit of what we saw last year with a couple of these saves, and now played in behind the net here for Schultz. As this is sent back around, one of the Seattle Kraken goes flying. Schultz still trying to stay with this. Good stick. As this is sent back down to the defensive side, it's a chance. Wenberg makes this pass across. Into the traffic across the blue paint. This goes off the stick shaft of Otter. And now it's 1 minute left to go in this first. Carson Soucy will take a look at it. Now for Alex Wenberg, they'll throw this back to the defense. With 50 seconds left to go in this first, it's 7 shots to 5. It's a much better start here for Seattle in this game number 2. As this is sent back around the inboards, Jake Ottinger will take a look at it. Stolen by the Seattle forecheck. Got this in the high slot. Here's a long chance. This goes out half the window. And this is around Ali Tolvanen. He's going to finish his body check. And again, Seattle's done a lot of that. Will Borgen sending in deep. Yanni Gourde! And that's a good save by Ottinger holding on the left side of the post. And now Harley and Miller come together. They want a piece of one of the Seattle Kraken. They got to get a number on that. I think it was Yanni.
Wow, John, lots to talk about here in the last couple of shifts for Seattle in particular. I mean, just about 2 or 3 minutes ago, this thing was 5-5 on the shot board even. And all of a sudden, it's up to 10 for Seattle. They've doubled their total in about 2 minutes. I'm going to go so far as to say that I think Morgan Geekie probably should have scored a couple of shifts ago. He had not 1 but 2 cracks at it, including one with Ottinger down on his knees. It looked like there was some room to go up and over the top. But I love the fire from Yanni Gourde. He's definitely a leader on this team. And he had some good chances right there as well. Big stops by Ottinger.
Absolutely. He's been such a pickup. Again, of all these guys from the expansion draft, when you think about Yanni Gourde with that Stanley Cup experience, again, not just throwing his name out there, but it's just nice to see him on this team playing some meaningful minutes as Dallas goes off sides.
Yeah, and Yanni Gourde can really do it all. He's not afraid to throw the body. I've also seen that from Matty Beniers tonight. He threw a shoulder into some folks for the Stars, and my goodness, this is a really nice push here as we close out the first period by Seattle.
Yeah, it's a really good game so far from what we're seeing. It's Matty Beniers against Wyatt Johnston, the 20-year-old against the 20-year-old, and Matty Beniers is the one that's going to win it. And he will play this with the goal stick. There's Jake Ottinger. Roope Hintz gets hit behind the cage, but that is going to end the first period. We're scoreless. The shots are 10-5 Seattle.
Yeah, the story for me, John, is are really it's the bookends of this first period. It's the way that the Kraken came out. I think that first 5 minutes in particular, they sort of showed what they were going to bring tonight and what they're going to put on the ice, what kind of product we were going to see. And it was a really exciting brand of hockey there, as we just noted. Throwing the body around. They're also passing beautifully, creating good chances for themselves. You noted during your play-by-play one of their successful forechecks, which has been a cornerstone of their game. And then that second 5-minute section in the last 5 minutes of the first period, again, they put their pressure on. They make some moves, get some shots on Ottinger, and I think just double down on that message being sent. Hey, we are back at home, and we are fully prepared to give ourselves a lead in this series. They look really strong after one.
And here's the thing, to all your points to tie this in, the 11 shots on goal for Seattle right now at the end of this first, it took them up to 4 minutes left to go in the second period to get that many shots on Jake Ottinger. So it is indeed a much better start.
Yeah, and you also you were weaving this into your play-by-play as well. And I have to say that Jake Ottinger, the word so far of the night for the Stars is unbothered. Even though the Kraken keep pressing, they've looked just slightly like the better team after 20 minutes. Both Ottinger and Grubauer are doing what they continue to do throughout these playoffs. And Ottinger in the right place at the right time. No big rebounds, no mental mistakes. Just the one, I think, where he tried to clear that thing around the far corner, but got back in time and made a very calm stop. So Ottinger, he's Jake Ottinger. We know what he can do, and he's doing it.
Yes, he is. Right now, 10 out of 10 for Jake. It's 4 out of 4 for Philip Grubauer. Seattle doing a much better job, especially in their own end. And the one thing of note, again, no penalties so far in this game. There was not a lot of penalties across any of these other games, unless you're counting Carolina and on the other side of that. But we will talk about that in a moment. I got to give you a short little apology here, Cooper, on this side, because I know we talk about predictions sometime. This was the last time we mentioned the first round. I apologize that I ever had you give any predictions alongside myself of anything between the New York Rangers and the Carolina Hurricanes, because boy, oh boy, covering that Game 7 on that side. If I'm a Rangers fan, I hope that I stayed away from social media for a couple of days. That was ugly.
Yeah, you know what? You and I, we did our best. I think we thought we might have an educated look at it, and we made our calls, John. But man, the Devils had something else to say, didn't they? They just sent the Rangers packing, and with that star-studded lineup, they are now out on the golf course, and the Devils are still at it on the ice. Boy, are they, again, as we mentioned before, 8-4 with their victory tonight, earlier this afternoon, I should say, over the Hurricanes. And, yes, they are still down in that series, but with that kind of performance, you got to say that the beast that we didn't even know was there to be woken up has woken up yet again. Maybe this is just their pattern, John. They go down in a series, give themselves a little extra motivation, a little extra push internally, and then they come out with some huge games. So that's what they did to the Rangers. The Rangers, I certainly thought would be of those two teams in the tri-state area. I thought that New York would be moving on, but guess what? It's the Devils, and they are a force to be reckoned with.
Yes, they are. I'm just going to give everybody a quick little score reset as we're in the intermission. So a few players have gotten there first, and this is something you got to note. Timo Meier and Nico Hischier, the captaincy. So it was a 3-0 lead for New Jersey. It was Meier, Hughes, and McLeod. McLeod with a shorthanded goal. 3-0 for New Jersey after one. Nico Hischier made it 4-0 before Sebastian Aho and Jordan Martinook tried to get into the deficit. It was 5-2. Damon Severson also got his first. Then Miles Wood and Jack Hughes. It was a 7-2 lead for New Jersey. Carolina, they tried to get back into it again. A couple of shorthanded goals. 3 shorthanded goals in this game. Stahl had one. Jarvis had one before Andre Palat, the former Tampa Bay Lightning man, got his third of the postseason at 10:47 as the New Jersey Devils won 8-4. It was Vitek Vanacek. He stopped 26 out of 30 for an 867. And Freddie Anderson, Peter Kochetkov, take your pick. They both got burned pretty hard. Freddie Anderson especially. 4 out of 8 on that end, and Kochetkov 18 out of 22. So big win for the New Jersey Devils. Again, I wouldn't recommend the pattern being going down 0-2 before you make a run, but you never know. If it's working for New Jersey, who's to argue it on that side as they got a humongous win?
Yeah, it's tough to argue with that kind of a performance. And, yeah, you made a great point. They were up by more than they ended up winning by. So, a little bit of pushback there from the Hurricanes. But thinking about Carolina just in particular for a moment, I think this is an obvious answer. By no means am I making a suggestion that Carolina's going to flip the script in goal. But after that kind of performance, John, do you think that Freddie Anderson just needs to sort of mentally reset, get back in there and try to find his game again? Or do you think things have gone off the rails so quickly here that Carolina might have to be looking at, depending on assuming he starts the next game, depending on how quickly the Devils get on the scoreboard and how many they get, you think that they could go with their backup?
So here's the thing. Antti Ranta was the one that started, correct? But then he had a little bit of an injury concern. That's why they went to Freddie Anderson. Freddie Anderson gets lit up like a Christmas tree, and they got to go back to Peter Kochetkov, who had a very hot December and January of that goal. So he's still a very young netminder. So if Freddie Anderson has another one of these games where he gives up 2 or 3 right away in the first, they might have to just roll with Peter Kochetkov, and there's going to be some goaltending controversy in Carolina.
Yeah, thank you I apologize I didn't give the full scope there. And my assumption, basically my whole question was based on assuming that the injury concern is still a factor when we get there, meaning Anderson would get the start. Yeah, so thank you for laying that out for us. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting prospect, and I think all Carolina fans are holding their breath a little bit, hoping that Freddie Anderson can show the type of goalie that we know he can be. And he can certainly be a top netminder when he's on his game.
Yeah, because you look at it the other way. It was Vitek Vanacek today, but Akira Schmid over that series against the Rangers. I mean, boy, oh boy, that 22-year-old, he looked really, really good, especially with a pair of shutouts against the Blue Shirts.
Yeah, he's been no short of a revelation. I mean, that's a name that I was not honestly particularly familiar with. Obviously, you know where my interests lie most of the season when we talk about regular season hockey. You know, looking out in Alberta and in the state of Washington at the Flames and Kraken, and a lot of Western Conference matchups. But yeah, Schmidt has looked so good. And then I know that there were some bumps along the way, but for a goalie to have that kind of success in the playoffs at that age, I mean, that's got to mean some pretty good things for the Devils, not only now, but in the future, don't you think?
You're looking at a 2 goaltender situation where Schmid might be the starter and Vanacek might be the backup in the future.
Yes, indeed. I don't think any of us expected that to be even a discussion, but yeah, here we are.
So we hate to do this to you, Maple Leafs fans, but this is a hockey show, and we have to talk about some of the other out-of-town scoreboard here. So it started good for the Maple Leafs once again. They had a 1-0 lead at FLA Live Arena with Sam Lafferty with his first from David Kemp and Morgan Riley. At 2:26, they opened the scoring. But the Panthers do what they always do, Cooper Hopkins, especially in this postseason. They can take any kind of deficit and turn it around. It was Anthony Duclair with the second on the power play. He got a awesome break down the middle of the ice from Aaron Ekblad. Should have never really happened. And then on the other end, Carter Verhaeghe with his fourth from Echo Gourde and Josh Mahura. How good has Verhaeghe been? Erik Gustafsson got his first for the Maple Leafs. So here's the thing I got to throw out to you before we talk about the OT. I said Sam Lafferty and I said Erik Gustafsson. Did you notice that I didn't say on the side of it Willie Nylander or John Tavares or Austin Matthews or any of those names? Because it was Sam Reinhart with his fifth in OT from Lindell and Aaron Ekblad. And the Florida Panthers, they are more than in the driver's seat. They are poised for a sweep at FLA Live Arena against the Maple Leafs. I know what some Maple Leafs fans are going to say, and I'm going to agree with you, although I know this isn't the statement that they believe. But is the bar so low to win a playoff series for the first time against 2004? I'd say, no, it's okay. We can finish it off, and if we get swept or whatever else, it happens. It's fine. It can't be that case. There has to be some sort of pushback. We know how hot Florida has been. It's 3 straight wins against Boston and now Toronto. That's about as tough of a road as you can get. But Maple Leafs had to be expecting more than this.
Yeah, I think so. You know what? Their lineup, their competitors, the types of players that are on that club, you know they want more. You know they want. Listen, you know what they want. They want to win it all, and you know that they can. But they have run into a team now, John, and I'm going to reference something that we talked about the night that we covered the Kraken's historic win against the Avalanche, knocking out the defending Stanley Cup champs. But putting that game aside for a moment, let's reference the fact that we were working together on that night that the Florida Panthers knocked off the Boston Bruins, the best regular season team in the history of the National Hockey League. And we speculated, okay, this could go one of two directions. The Panthers could be excited that they've climbed this mountain and they've defeated Boston, they've vanquished this foe, and sort of sit back and enjoy and revel in their huge upset victory. Or it could fuel the fire that drives them further in the playoffs. And let's see. I think, John, pretty safe to say they've gone with route B. They went option number 2. And they are having tons of success. And I just don't think the Maple Leafs were fully expecting that to be the case. It was a debate in my own mind. I was curious to see what type of Panther team was going to make it. Was it going to be that they would face? Would it be the Florida Panthers team that barely made the playoffs, John, and actually technically had one less point in the regular season than the Calgary Flames, who did not make the playoffs out of the West? Or was it going to be the Panthers that took down the Boston Bruins? And I think they are now dyed in the wool. We know what the Panthers are going to bring night in and night out. It's going to be that squad that can beat you on any given night. Now they've got 6 in a row. And Toronto, I think, is just caught in the wake. They are caught in the crossfire of the hottest team in the playoffs remaining in this tournament, and they just don't have the answers.
Man, when I hear you say that, everything that's coming out of your mouth is completely 100% accurate, but I still have my mind blown, honestly. And the fact that the Panthers, I feel, are a shoo-in for the Eastern Conference Finals, and whether or not they play against the Hurricanes or the Devils, that is going to be something where I honestly believe now, as good as they play, the Panthers could go to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Listen, and you know what's crazy is that on a personal note, it's I was fascinated by this series between the Panthers and the Maple Leafs because of some former teammates that are now facing one another. We're talking, of course, about Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Bennett, former Calgary Flames, who are not only on the same team but on the same line together for Florida. And then you have TJ Brodie and former Flames captain Mark Giordano, who are on different defensive pairings, but are out there guarding the blue line for Toronto. And it certainly looks like Mark and TJ are going to have to they're going to have to get their vacation plans ready. They're going to have to book those private jets and get the hotel stays all locked in, because Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Bennett Carolina Hurricanes
No,
and
I
the New
get
Jersey
you.
Devils. But if the Florida Panthers, and it seems not like an if, but more like a when at this point, if and when the Florida Panthers make it to the Eastern Conference Final, whoever their opponent's going to be, you've got to think Florida's confidence will be sky high because they've taken out the Bruins and the Maple Leafs to get themselves to that Eastern Conference Final. It's incredible.
There's no harder road on that side. So, I mean, their confidence got to be an all-time high. And I'll tell you this, I think Cooper and I can promise you this, we will be covering a game in the Eastern Conference Finals. We're going to have that be a bookend.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, my friend. And you know what? I'm sort of living vicariously through this Florida, talking about the Kraken bandwagon and how that's growing. I'm almost 1 foot on the Florida bandwagon as well because, you know what, I have certainly no hard feelings against Matthew Tkachuk or Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett needed a change of scenery after a number of great years in Calgary. He was another one of those players who struggled a bit to produce in the playoffs when the Flames were in the postseason. And I know that made some people grumble. And he needed a new venue, and he's been great for the Panthers and has gotten better in his couple of years there. And Matthew Tkachuk, I mean, you know, say what you want. If you're an LA Kings fan, you're probably disagreeing with me right now. He and Drew Doughty still have their moments, but it's so exciting to see what the Panthers are doing, and I don't think anybody expected it.
And Cal Meehan is a lifeblood of a Red Wings fan on that side. I'm just appreciating good hockey when I see it. They're peaking at the right time, and they're fulfilling the potential that they thought they had last year on that side until they ran into the buzzsaw of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now the Florida Panthers, again, they were the last team to get in on that side as far as the points are concerned, but it doesn't matter. You get in, you make your impact, and they're certainly doing that. But I need to draw your attention to tomorrow because I think I'm going to cover this game before I have to take a little bit of a break. It's going to be a little bit busy throughout the week. I'll be able to get to everything, but I will get to the Golden Knights and the Oilers after the NHL draft lottery. I do have a couple comments for that, but I might have to sit at the second intermission. What say you now, Vegas fans, after the McDavid and Draisaitl experience in Game 2? Which way is that series going to go?
Wow, well, John, I think the easy answer is that we now see that Leon Draisaitl is just going to flat out will this team to a series victory. And normally we're used to saying it's 97, and don't get me wrong, it's not like he's been just sitting on the bench expecting. He's absolutely been involved. But really, he has been more of a facilitator in terms of drawing defensive attention. And listen, he does this all the time, but it seems to be particularly a particular focus of his game in this playoff run. Edmonton is dangerous because you have to give Connor McDavid a constant attention, as we all know. But when he draws that attention and then sets up teammates that are absolutely white hot, like Leon Draisaitl, Leon Draisaitl is playing out of his mind right now. Even when he's playing at an average level, he is beyond what most players are in the league. This is impressive to watch, and all of a sudden, a Golden Knights team, again, we always make a note of this, best in the West. They're going to hang a banner no matter what. They win their division. They hang on to that spot. They were getting chased down by these Oilers and the LA Kings, now out of it. But, man, the Oilers do look like they've really turned something on here, John. And they are, if nothing else, so dangerous that you just cannot assume that the Knights are going to be able to push this thing to 7. I mean, you'd be well within your right to say, hey, it's all of a sudden we're going to turn around and it's going to be 3-1 Edmonton in a couple of days.
It very well could happen. Again, I know how good Vegas is. They looked really good in the first game, but Edmonton turned that right around at T-Mobile. So, you know what? We're going to reverse our fates. And if Leon Draisaitl, again, this is no disrespect to Connor McDavid because, as you said, he's not been a bystander. He's still got more points than games. He's been absolutely dominant. It's just Leon Draisaitl looks like an overpowered video game character right now.
Yeah, that's an incredible way to put it. I was just taking in that reference. That's it. Does it? We have to look at him and say, you know what? Somebody went into the settings. They went into the settings and they turned the sliders all the way up, and then they selected Stanley Cup tournament, and now here we are with the Oilers, and that's basically what we're looking at. What can you say? I mean, Leon Draisaitl is so scary when he is playing like this, and I don't expect it to stop anytime soon. And the biggest Golden Knights, they are who they are, but John, for kind of being top heavy, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then you added Evander Kane. Yeah, okay, great. Now you have at least another piece, and he can certainly contribute. He absolutely does contribute. He did the other night. But now we're still talking, okay, 1, 2, 3 players. All right, well, all of a sudden, Nugent Hopkins has a career year. And a lot of those goals come on the power play. But guess what? If you're going to take penalties against the Oilers, you are going to get scored against. And when you get scored against, John, you're going to lose against this team. It's just that simple. They might let in 1 or 2, but they score so frequently, and they have such skill and confidence on that side of the ice. I mean, it's tough to say that they're not the favorites in the series against Vegas.
So we're getting underway here for the second period puck drop. You want to take it?
Yeah, and I apologize. So I'm a couple seconds behind you. I think for whatever reason, my feed is about 20 seconds behind you now. I did restart things on my side, so the delay is still there. So that's just TBS feed to my Apple TV on this side for me. But we do have the puck dropped, and John, you're gonna have to hold your breath if we get a bunch of goals in this period. Try not to reveal it all ahead of time. But even if you do, no hard feelings, my friend. I trust you. You can always jump in and take it for me. So we're about 15 seconds here in the middle stanza, and the Kraken in their Navy home uniforms going to be moving right to left on your radio dial, and the road whites and greens for the Dallas Stars are moving left to right as they take the puck here through the neutral zone. I know it's going to sound strange here, John. We saw this happen about 15 or 16 seconds ago, but Ottinger takes the puck momentarily in the trapezoid behind his net. The puck bounces around the far wall. Again, we come into this period, 9 official shots for the Kraken as they send this one in along the end boards. 4 official shots for the visitors, and that puck bounced up and off the paddle of Jake Ottinger, I believe, and into the netting. So 45 seconds gone, John, and we'll have a face-off.
Yeah, I want to see as we go forward throughout this game the bottom 6 lines of both teams and who outplays who. That's what I'm going to keep my eyes on.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. And, we're used to looking at those contributors more so with the Kraken, but Dallas is going to need that as well, especially in a game that's been like this one. Really clean chances on the offensive side have been tough to come by. And I think the team that can really start to go shift after shift with some ozone buzz, that's going to make a big difference. We haven't really seen that yet. But this puck on fresh ice gets all the way back down to Grubauer. He steps out of his crease and ships it forward, where the puck is now taken over by Dallas. There's a shot that just goes wide of Grubauer to his right, bounces off the end boards, comes right back. So the puck is loose now, going to be picked up by Geeky, backhanded along right there, and shipped forward by the Kraken. That was on the stick of Larsson briefly, and it's not out of the zone, though. So the puck bouncing right down near Tyler Seguin, 2011 Stanley Cup winner, and now Geeky on the puck again for Seattle. Seattle having some trouble getting the puck out here. A couple of players go down, and now it's between some skates. It'll go back to the S at center ice, and the Dallas Stars take over yet again. So some good possession here for Dallas early on, but again, something that John and I are going to keep an eye on. Who can set up in the ozone? And there's a giveaway at center ice. It's a one-on-one. Here comes Dallas, and no shot on. Good defense right there by Larsson. He kept the Stars at bay, and that was on the stick of Dadonov. And now Grubauer sees it come into the crease on a shot from Benn, and he will cover up. So, John, a bit of a push right there from Dallas after a turnover at neutral ice.
Yeah, and that Dadonov and Benn line was really good in Game 2, and they had a good push there. So I don't know if we lost Cooper there for a moment, as it's about 17:55 left to go in the second, and this is played right through the blue paint. Again, the 15-23 are the face-offs. This will get set up, blocked in the high slot, scores! Seattle gets on the board! I want to make sure I didn't jump in front of Cooper because I know the thing was muted there on that side, but we do have a development. I made sure I got that on the live side.
Thank you very much, John. I apologize. Yep, that's just my fault because, oh my goodness, as soon as I take it off, I realize what I've done on my side. Guess who? It's Jordan Eberle making it 1-0 here with a nice move in front. Bad time for the technical difficulty, but it is 1-0, John. Beautiful goal by the Kraken.
Oh, Miro Heiskanen absolutely ate it to the right side of his face. That's just unlucky on that side, and Jordan Eberle did exactly what he had to do. I feel bad for Miro there. That's rough.
Yeah, Yeah, I see it as well. I just now saw the replay. And again, I apologize. I know this is not ideal, but boy, yes, Heiskanen, he catches a puck right in the jaw. I hope that he's okay. He went down instantly. That wrister went well high and wide of the glove side of Ottinger. It ends up landing right in front of the Stars goalie. Eberle's on the doorstep, and he cleans that up. And I feel very, very badly for Heiskanen right now. This could be a pretty serious situation. He went down instantly.
Yeah, he's going right to the room right now to see any kind of developments, repairs, and that's going to be huge for Dallas. Not only being down a defenseman, if it's forever how long. That's a guy that is a Norris Trophy candidate.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, apologies to our listeners and on the live side as well. I know the delay is not ideal, and then of course the bad timing on, of course, the double tap on my side, which kept the mute on. I apologize to our listeners, but thanks for hanging with us, everybody. And now with 17:50 to go here in the second, it is 1-0. Seattle, this is what they love to do, John. They love to score first, and they have here tonight. And again, it's tough to celebrate too heartily because we know that goal came at the expense of one of the better defensemen in the National Hockey League. We certainly hope Miro Heiskanen is all right. He's back in the room right now.
Yeah, I see the first line. It's all the first line on that side between Eberle, Cartier, and Matty Beniers. The big boys get on the board for Seattle first, and as you said, Cooper, they've been living right on the first end on the right side of it. And oh boy, they're showing Heiskanen now. It's toward the right side of the bridge of his nose. It's all busted up.
Oh boy, yeah, that's ugly. And as now we have Turbo Tanev's line out there for the Kraken, but play his whistle dead. I believe Seattle was offside, and yes, again, so that does catch Heiskanen just underneath the visor. It's so unfortunate. Those are very protective, and yeah, he's got a very, very deep cut on the upper lip, on the left side of that lip as it approaches sort of his left nostril. That's tough to see. It's going to take some sutures for sure. So at least on my feed here, we have about 17 minutes and 20 seconds to go here on their 10th shot of the night. Seattle makes it 1-0 thanks to Jordan Eberle, who catches that puck down in front and puts it up over the top of a down and out Jake Ottinger. Now Seattle trying to cycle in the offensive zone here. The puck is behind Ottinger to his left. Good job right there by the Kraken to keep things going. That's Ryan Donato who sends it back to the blue line. The shot was deflected off the leg. It's going to be picked up by Tanev. Tanev drops it back to Jamie Oleksiak, the former Star. There's a shot in that comes off of Ottinger. I think he got it with the big stick there, and it went off the glass. Now a slapper's loose in front. Looking for that bouncing puck was Morgan Geekie. He's now back at the blue line in defensive position as it's taken over by the Stars at the near half boards. Puck bounces through center ice. It's going to be chased down by number 3, Will Morgan. He collects and surveys the scene. Now we are inside 16 minutes to play. Excuse me, inside 17 minutes to play here. 16 and a half to go in the second. And puck is up and off of the ice surface for a stoppage. So, John, I'm sure right as we get to your comments, I bet the puck is being dropped on your live side. But tell me your thoughts, my friend. That's a big loss for Dallas. Not only do you get scored on, but some more of the air goes out of that balloon, don't you think?
Yes, it is. And immediately after that, I've seen Seattle continuously press. I know the one little shot was about a 12-6 curveball hand grenade that kind of got tossed in there on that side. But they're pressuring Ottinger pretty well.
Yes, they are. Yes, they absolutely are. And we're getting some close-ups of the Dallas bench here on the TBS side. We're seeing Jason Robertson, and it's a name that John mentioned during our first period coverage. Want to see if he's able to contribute tonight. Some of the Dallas media thinking that he needs to do a little more. And John and I had some thoughts about that. I think he's doing an excellent job. And there's a shot right on, and it's in the back of the net, John, out of nowhere. Seattle comes off a face-off in the neutral zone. They streak through center ice, and there is a bang-bang play. Alex Wenberg from Schwartz, 2-0 Kraken.
Man, that was a missile right to the 5-for-1 again. It's something that we talked about in this series. Face-off wins. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It's in the neutral zone, streaked down the middle of the ice. No chance for Ottinger. In Seattle, they're taking advantage of all the momentum right now. They're up by a pair.
Yeah, boy, and on my call, again, I'm sorry, this is what Seattle can do. Not even I'm expecting to see what they did take place. That is a huge pass that's just so confident and crisp. That's I'll tip my cap to myself a little bit. I love the passing tonight from Seattle. That one went right through some of the Stars, through the neutral zone. Great connection. And then the finish by Wenberg makes no mistake. 2 goals in less than 90 seconds for the Seattle Kraken here. It's now 2-0 on 12 shots for Seattle and just 6 shots for Dallas, with nothing on the scoreboard for the visitors with 16 to go here in second. And nice body on right there by the Kraken. That's Wenberg. He comes off of his goal and then throws the body in the near corner in his defensive end. So the puck's rattling around. It's going to be picked up right there and taken by Seuss. Make that Vince Dunn. And the Kraken have it in their own end, looking to get this thing out of here. Dunn has the puck one more time. He's going to fire it forward. Another stretch pass. Here comes Schwartz one more time, but he can't keep the puck on his stick. It bounces off the boards near the player benches, and Seattle is going to chip this thing forward with Geeky, where now it's taken over by the Stars and sent forward by Miller. Puck's in now in the offensive zone for Dallas. They send it around, trying to cycle here. Again, the Wenberg goal, assist from Schwartz and Dunn. Beautiful passing as one of the Kraken goes down, blows a tire right there. I think that was Bjorkstrand. So the puck is turned over. Now it's bounced off of Oleksiak's glove. They got a shot on. I thought that was wide. But no, that's a right pad save by Grubauer. So he's called into action for really one of the first significant times in this period. Already 5 minutes gone here in the second. Puck now at the far half wall on the Star side of the ice, where Oleksiak's going to chip this one back toward the trap. So Yanni Gourde now has the puck. Make that. Nope, that's going to be Geeky. And now it's dropped back for Oleksiak. He's going to collect with 14:43 in the second. He settles behind Grubauer, and they're going to set things up, the Kraken are. So a pass down to the far wall, taken right there and chipped along by Gourde. And now it's at the center red line, going to be sent right back in by Dallas, who took over. And the puck bounces strangely off of the end boards, John. That was a bit of a weird one. It was kind of sitting out in front in the high slot to Grubauer's left. Luckily, the Kraken got to it before the Dallas Stars could. And now the puck's bouncing off of a broken stick behind Grubauer. So here come the Stars. They're trying to set up. And this one bounces through traffic. It's going to settle in the far circle. Seattle finally gets the puck out of there, being chased down by 2 Stars and 1 Seattle Kraken. And a nice forecheck right there, John. That's Bjorkstrand. There's a pass in front that's just behind Eberle. He was looking for his second. If that pass is about 6 inches further in front, he probably makes it 3-0. So the pass goes around a little too far from Seattle. It's going to be an icing on my side, at least. 13:51 here to go. And John, other than a couple of bounces here and there, the Kraken really started to take hold of this thing.
Yeah, they have. And again, it starts with faceoffs as we talk about. And the chances 12-7. This looks like the exact reversal of game 2. Limited chances again on the other end, but Seattle taking full advantage of it with a 75-foot breakout pass for the second goal.
Yeah, absolutely. We just saw some great replays there. Basically, Wenberg just going bar down. I mean, he snapped that thing, fired it, and beautifully. And now we have Kraken at center ice here. Puck's going to be taken and brought in. It's driven to the net, and that one bounces around on the trapezoid. 13:35 to play here. The puck's near the blue line. The Kraken with possession here, driving toward the net, and this shot's in the back of the net. John, it's Carson Soucy. Steps in from the blue line, does it himself, and all of a sudden, this thing's getting out of hand at Climate Pledge. 3-0 Kraken.
Man, he had 6 penalty minutes in the last game. His ice time was way down. He just drives in the high slot and left out. The 5-hole is the Red Sea for Jake Ottinger. He's got to keep that close. He's not looked sharp. And you got about 3 goals in the last 4 minutes and 15 seconds.
Man, oh man, John, this must be so surreal for you. You're watching these huge moments happen. All of a sudden, I get to jump on the play-by-play, and it's 3 goals in a very short span. What a beautiful move by Soucy. Incredibly confident. He goes right around Marchman, just dances him and steps into the circle, fires 5-hole. Speaking of firing, there's a shot on by Dallas. Grubauer makes a nice confident save, and players come together behind the Seattle net.
So let me just say this honestly, because we can have a discussion now during the commercial break. All of a sudden, you lose Miro Heiskanen, and now you're down 3 goals in a finger snap. I don't think that's just happenstance.
No, certainly not. I don't think you lose a player of that caliber or in the way that you did. I mean, it's so unfortunate. You see, listen, it's part of the job. You know it's bound to happen. But I think it's unsettling no matter when it does. And to see that he's cut and bleeding, that he immediately went down to the ice to cover his face, that's hard enough. Giving up the first goal is hard enough. And when you combine those things, John, that's got to be tough to bounce back from. I don't care how many games, how much experience you have under your belt. That's a real tough hill to climb.
It is, and honestly, I know we talked about this a little bit in the first intermission. I know there's tons of time left with 13-19 in the second, and I'm by no means writing this game off. But we might be having the same reverse situation for New Jersey and Carolina.
Yeah, you took the thought right out of my brain, my friend. I was going to say we're in Devil's territory here if Seattle gets one more. But we know. Listen, we always give the caveat. We always couch it a little bit by saying this is the Stars. This is Jake Ottinger. Yes, they've given up a few here, but if they get back to their game, we know they can lock things down. If they can keep this thing at 3-0, maybe you get one here within the next 5, 6, 8 minutes. You make that 3-1. A 2-goal deficit is certainly no mountain for Dallas. We know that they can come back, but the Kraken definitely need the credit where it's due. They look good tonight. Yes, they got a lucky bounce. It happened to be off of a defenseman that created an injury, but they have capitalized on their opportunities after looking very good, especially at the latter portion of that first period, John. They came out swinging in the second.
Yes, they did, and I wish I had more to say about the graphics on the screen from the 1917 World Champion Seattle team, but that's really cool what they just showed on TBS.
Yeah, that was Seattle's. That was the first time a professional team from Seattle won the Stanley Cup. That was the Seattle Metropolitans, and it was the Pacific Coast Hockey Association, of course, well before the NHL existed. But man, growing up in Seattle, I know exactly where that is, where the Seattle Ice Arena used to be. It became, as you expect in a downtown area, an office building. I remember, there was a Benihana there. Going to a birthday. It's a Benihana restaurant where greatness was once lifted skyward, the Stanley Cup, and that's what the Kraken are hoping to do again, just a couple of miles north of where that location is in downtown Seattle, Diamond Pledge Arena in the Queen Anne neighborhood of Seattle. And in that neighborhood right now, the Seattle Kraken pushing a 3-on-3 here in the Dallas zone. And this one is saved by Grubauer after a shot by Schultz. Goes up and out of play with 12:50 to go here in the second, so face-off upcoming.
Well, Grubauer getting a little bit of a stretch in as he gets that one over the glass.
Yeah, that's right. Grubauer, he had to be on his toes, literally and figuratively there. He has had less of the work tonight, but good job by Grubby, the German netminder for the home team. He's had to save 8 shots tonight, and he has stopped them all. As the face-off now taken by the Stars. They win this one to Ottinger's left. Backhand pass goes back into the trapezoid, and it's sent forward. Here come the Stars to the neutral zone. 45-degree pass goes to, I believe that is Benn, Seguin. And now the puck is going to be knocked back by the Kraken all the way down the ice, where it will be taken by Ottinger. No icing there. And the puck sent along the far boards. Going to be a delayed offside here, so the Stars take it over. There's a stretch pass in on Grubauer. Grubauer closes the 5-hole. Best chance of the night right there for Dallas. It was Roope, Hintz. That is the man who you want to have the puck on his stick, either him or Robertson. Hintz is denied by Grubby. So 12 minutes and change to go here in the second. Still 3-0. Could have easily been 3-1 right there. That's the scenario that I almost spoke into existence, John. If that first goal for the Stars comes relatively soon, you got to think they might find some momentum. But right now, here comes Eberle. Eberle from the near circle tries to put a shot right on. This one is blocked off of the skate. I think that was off of Suter. Now the puck is going to be collected by Suter, but he's pushed off the puck briefly. Nice forecheck by Eberle. And here come the Kraken. Kraken with Matty Beniers. And that one's in, John! The first point of the night! Matty Beniers from the top of the near circle. And the Michigan man makes it 4-0. And it's official, my friend. We are in New Jersey Devils territory. Unbelievable.
Oh, that's my boy, Matty. What a nice pickup near the right side. And another 5-hole for Jake Ottinger. What is happening?
Boy, that's a great question. And this comes on the heels of Roope Hintz, who got 3. He got around Susie, and then Seattle's able to get possession of the puck, get back to their offensive zone. But one of the Stars goes down, creating an opportunity for Beniers to step in. He's up top of the circle, sees the space, fires it. You're right, John. I thought he went up and over the right pad. He goes 5-hole again, and this is not the Ottinger we're used to seeing.
No, I wonder if something's going on between the ears. Again, we talk about the injury, but now TBS keeps panning to Scott Wedgwood. And considering, you know what, I know they don't normally take out goalies. Peter DeBoer is probably not entertaining the thought. But if this game is where it's going to be, you might want to even think about it.
Yeah, and listen, we don't want to make any assumptions, and these guys are all professionals. They understand they're putting their bodies on the line to succeed in a league like this. But John, to have Ottinger have to have a front row seat to what happened to Heiskanen just a few minutes ago, you can't tell me that's not in the back of his mind as well. So not easy to just get around that thing and keep playing hockey, but that's what they get paid to do. So here we are, as a couple of icings now resulted. Kraken having to keep their lineup on the ice, and the faceoff will come outside of Grubauer's net.
Well, I can tell from seeing Matty Beniers' face that I'm definitely going to have to shave too, because I got a playoff beard going right now, and this looks pretty spectacular.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's shaving anytime soon, but you have the ability to get the clean shave look going. But Matty Beniers, it looks like the longer the beard is, the more likely he's to put one in the back of the net. So, okay, John, we're halfway there. My prediction was a multi-point game for Matty. He scores that goal, the single assist to Eberle. There's a slapper right on by Schultz, 90 miles per hour, turned aside by Ottinger right there. 11 minutes to go here in the second. Again, 4-0 Seattle. Just 14 shots from the Kraken. Make that 15 now, and 9 for the visiting Dallas Stars. Stars have the puck now to Grubauer's right in the far corner. Some bodies come together as there is a battle going on. Some skates and stick blades. Eventually that puck comes free, and it's taken by the Stars. Held at the far wall. Now from the blue line, floated in. It's deflected there nicely. I think that goes off of margin, but it went up and over and off the glass. Now Seattle tries to chip this thing out. They do so just successfully. Just got beyond the blue line. Now Geeky's going to wheel and fire this thing through the neutral zone. It's chipped along, but no one home for Seattle, so it's going to be picked up by Lindell. Lindell with that left shot did send a pass forward, bounces off of no one. I thought there was a deflection, but I am incorrect. That is an icing after the long pass by Lindell. So Seattle will have the ozone faceoff.
So thank you to TBS for this. For the 5th time ever, 16 different goal scorers for Seattle and 7 different ones in this series alone. These 4 lines are just continuing to get the job done for the Kraken.
Yep, and we see a shot of Dave Hakstol. He's taking a sip of water there. He's trying to keep cool because it is hot in Climate Pledge Arena right now. The Kraken are in fuego. And Dave Hakstol, Jack Adams Award nominee. So there's a 1 in 3 chance that the bench boss for the Kraken could be taken on hardware this year, as we are now reaching the halfway point of this contest. 10 minutes to go here in the second. Again, I'm still surprised to say it, but it is 4-0 Seattle. They've had some success as a road team, a little bit less here at Climate Pledge, but man, oh man, they are really putting a game together tonight. There's a battle to Grubauer's right. This is the second time in consecutive shifts that players have come together just behind Grubauer to battle for this puck. Referees closing in on it as one of the Stars goes down. Now the puck comes free. It's going to slide right to the Stars. Picked up there, chipped to the near boards, and now chipped forward. Chasing it down is Dallas. Held back behind the net by Faksa, and he sends that round with the backhand. And there's a slap shot that Grubauer can't find. There's a rebound. And that was a 96-mile-per-hour bomb that Grubauer, I think, may have gotten a piece of. Now a partial 3-on-2 the other way. Sharp angle shot by the Kraken. Couldn't get a number on that shooter. And now it's turned over at center ice. A 1-on-1 the other way. A wrist shot, John, turned aside by the blocker of Roope. So Grubauer keeping the goose egg on the board. The Stars can't get one behind him. 8:58 to go here in the second. Some back and forth action now, John. We had some whistles that kept things choppy at the end of the first, but we're really flowing now after a couple of icings. And that puck was floated forward, and there's a big check on the near corner. Taking a hard hit right there for the Kraken. Sprong. He holds his head, John, and he gingerly skates back to the players' bench. He left the ice immediately after getting sandwiched against the glass in the offensive zone near corner. Now this one's floated to Grubauer's right by the Stars. The Stars now cycling in the zone, and Grubauer went back to his backside. He sees a shot come on from Hakstol and makes the save, just gets the stoppage. Man, oh man, John, the action is fast and furious now. We have to keep an eye on Daniel Sprong as well.
Yeah, hopefully Daniel Sprong will be okay on that side, because we already lost Miro on that end, and Sprong has been a good contributor for Seattle. But boy, oh boy, as you said, this action's been fast-paced back and forth. And the one thing that's not to be lost in all this, even though it's a 4-0 scoreline, don't forget about that breakaway from Roope Hintz or a couple of those last chances. Grubauer could have easily given up 1 or 2, but he shut the door right now to keep this a 4-0 lead for the Kraken.
Yeah, having that mental focus when your team has a significant lead is so hard, and I don't think that Grubauer is showing any signs of letting up. He is. This is what we were talking about, the clock strikes midnight comment from earlier in our broadcast tonight. Doesn't seem like the clock's anywhere near midnight. He's looked just as sharp as he has in every game that he's played so far in these playoffs, John.
Yeah, and again, I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself. I will say something that sounds like it, but I'm not speaking into existence. But with 8 teams left, and Florida the way they are, I know Seattle's still got to get around Dallas and possibly even Vegas or Edmonton. Your brackets could be completely busted in these Stanley Cup Finals if we talk about a potential Seattle in Florida.
I think at that point my brain would probably melt. It would be from a personal side, my second team, so to speak, against one of the stars, one of the former stars of my lifelong team, and Matthew Tkachuk versus Matty Beniers. I mean, I don't listen. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves either, but even if you don't consider that match, you look at some of the other matches. There are so many great matchups that are still possible here. If Carolina is able to finish off the Devils, if the Devils come back, if they win that series, exciting young players across this league. I mean, there's so much to look forward to, John. I mean, almost any of these matchups are just mouthwatering. They're so enticing.
Yeah, don't let anything that's going on with the referees take away with the potential matchups, because this has been a monumental 2023 Stanley Cup playoffs. It's been fantastic.
Yes, indeed. And now here's the 2-on-1 the other way for the Kraken after a 98-mile-per-hour slapper goes wide of Grubauer's net, and driving right there was Seattle. That shot, I believe, goes off the bars. Ty Cartier for 52 in blue. He gets tied up with one of the Stars, but Jordan Eberle was looking for his second of the night. And he either, John, I think we're going to get a replay here. He either sent that one off the crossbar or he had a good save by Ottinger. Either way, it stays 4-0.
I think we may have had a good save there by Ottinger, but 4 goals on 6 shots in the second period. 4 of those have been 5-hole goals in this end. It doesn't look like the Jake that we're normally used to seeing on this end, but I would definitely bet on a bounce back. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I think that is a smart bet, my friend. And again, this series is tied at 1, and the game is certainly not tied. It is 4-0 Seattle. 8 minutes, 11 seconds to go here in the middle period. As Wenberg, who is a goal scorer tonight, he takes the face-off against Jamie Benn. Jamie Benn wins that thing, and the puck goes from the far corner on the Dallas side all the way to neutral ice, where it's picked up by the Kraken. Now chasing down for Seattle is Adam Larsson. He'll send this one along the near boards, picked up there. Geeky tries to chase down, but he can't get to the puck in time. It's for Dallas now. Dallas just inside the zone. I thought there might have been an offside, but they held the blue line just enough to keep play moving. And shot count, John, getting a little closer now. 15 for the Kraken, 12 for Dallas. But all that matters is there is a 0 for the Stars and a 4 for Seattle. So the puck now behind Grubauer, going to be chipped along right there by Dunn. And Dunn was able to get this one out of the zone. Now a delay offside call means that Seattle can get it, but now it's turned over. Boy, great stick check right there. There's a pass across, and there is a goal, my friend. That was a no-doubter. Grubauer made it look close, but it is the first goal of the night for Dallas. Scored right there on a beautiful bang-bang one-timer by Mason Marchment. 4-1.
That's a perfect steal, perfect route there. Mason Marchment wide open. And now it's very important. Dallas has got their goal here. Ottinger must shut the door, because if Dallas gets another one here in the second period, that could make things a little more in their favor.
Yep, I agree. I think that all of a sudden, I think it's like you have a shutout and you feel supremely confident. But as soon as, and I don't mean to reference the Heiskanen incident, I've just turned a phrase, as soon as Dallas draws blood, it's a different story. And so the Kraken are going to have to answer here. By no means do they need to go into a shell, but no more turnovers in neutral ice like that. But right now, Dallas has the puck in the offensive zone yet again. And there's a shot that goes off the outside of the cage, John. That was past Grubauer. Now they're trying to center. Marchment is back out. He almost got one to the blue paint area. That one deflected away at the last second. Now sent in from neutral ice by Seattle. So they have the puck in the trapezoid. It's now on Brandon Tanev's stick. And it's cycled back around to the far right point, floated forward, but off of a body and out of play is the puck. 6:47
and I'm not just saying this because of the goal, but this is a much different Dallas team than last year. Kind of wondering where the scoreline would be if they'd kick into the physicality. You know, we're going to get some goals and be confident. So I like that from Dallas.
Yeah, I do. And you know what? I will say, even on the goal scoring play for the Stars, Grubauer was still in the right place. He
Yeah.
made the right read. He, of course, was just not able. You can't expect any goalie to get across and stop a 1T that's in the high 80s and wired like Marchman's shot was. So now the Kraken going to send this one in on Ottinger. It bounces off his right pad. Now it's out in front, but a bouncing puck can't be collected by Seattle, and the puck drifts all the way back to their own end, where Alexiak will pick up. Nice forecheck right there by Tyler Seguin. And you can see that the Stars now, I think, are starting to shift their game a little bit. And there's a huge hit by Bjorkstrand. He dropped one of the Stars at the far boards at center ice. Trying to see who that was. I think, John, it may have been Robertson. He had to reset his lid right there. I thought he may have had a head injury. Luckily, he is back up and taking his shift as normal. But man, oh man, Bjorkstrand, he can score goals. He can throw the shoulder. Now Cartier has it for Seattle. It's at the near point, but it's turned over. Now the puck is loose. Seattle chasing it down. It's Cartier yet again. It's going to be sent along and into the Seattle end by the Stars. 5 minutes and 40 seconds to go here. Matty Beniers drops off for Dunn. Dunn going to go up the near wall. Big stretch pass. I think it touched his stick, so no icing. Ottinger comes out of the crease, and he plays this one along the far wall. Cartier's still out on his shift. Now Eberle is in the far corner. He's battling there. Kraken are going to look for the puck, and chasing it down is Wenberg, but it does fall to the stick of Jamie Benn. Jamie Benn doing a nice job right there to fend off multiple Seattle Kraken. Puck now in the near corner, sort of a reverse hit right there by the Stars. That was a good job by Donov. The puck is loose. Kraken are going to try to take this thing over at the near boards. Some of those fans clapping against the glass right there as the Kraken try to get the puck out, which they cannot do. Benn sends it back to the blue line. There's a snapshot through traffic, loose. Now the puck bouncing never made its way to Grubauer. A couple players go down in the far circle. So again, John, this back and forth flow has resumed, and the Stars are starting to have a bit of a run of this play after scoring their first, thanks to Marchman on that one-timer. 4 minutes and 40 seconds now. 4-1 Seattle in Seattle, and there's a pass right to the slot, and we're going to have our first penalty of the game, I believe, John, and it's going to go against the Kraken. Heading to the box is Carson Soucy, another one of the Seattle goal scorers, and I think he's going for a trip, John.
Yes, he is. So Dallas, they look pretty dangerous. A couple passes out in front. I think Carson Soucy, I know he took a lot of penalties in the other game, but he got a trip against Wyatt Johnston. I think he had two on that side. But Dallas, they got exactly what they want right now. They just got a goal. 4:36 left to go in the second. If they can get another one here, as we talked about, they can kind of take away some of that momentum for Seattle. That doesn't take away everything they did in the second period. It's been all goals across the board. But as you said, Cooper, I just got to point it out. There's been a little bit too many turnovers in Seattle's defensive zone ever since they got this lead. They got to clean that up, and I'm sure Dave Hakstol is going to let them know about it.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's something that has been different between the first and second periods. I really liked what I was seeing from Seattle in terms of being able to gather the puck in their own end and just cleanly exit their zone. That has not been the case, at least in the second portion of this second period. So, Dave Hakstol, again, the Jack Adams Award nominee, he's going to have to talk to his skaters and those defensemen and then get them back on track when it comes to exiting the zone cleanly.
Yeah, it's the routine things. Again, I know people don't like to harp all that all the time, but I do on that side of it. You want to keep things clean. I always talk about that. I talk about face-offs. I know it sounds boring to a lot of people, but the fundamentals are important. There's a reason why Tim Duncan is always one of my favorite players in the NBA. Do the things the fundamental ways. That's how you win. That's how you get in the coach's good graces. And that's how you keep leads.
Yeah, no question about it. And, that's what Dallas is doing right now just to get themselves back in this game. Just working hard at center ice and creating turnovers and getting their feet moving in the offensive zone. That's what Marchman did to get himself into a nice passing lane and getting a shooting opportunity that he made no mistake on. He finished it beautifully. It was arguably one of the prettiest goals. I mean, you could put it up against Wenberg's probably, but Marchman's finish, beautiful. That gives you a little extra boost of confidence. And this is what Dallas is showing now as they have the first power play of the game. Seattle has to stem the tide here a little bit, and they're going to be able to do so by floating this one to center ice. That's picked up by Tanev. He would have been able to go one-on-one, but he decides to turn this thing back and kill some more clock. Smart move by the 13 in blue. And with 4:20 to go in the second, again, 4-1 game here. After 4 unanswered goals, Marchment makes it 4-1. And Dallas now with the man advantage. The puck on Robertson's stick. He'll skate forward. And here come the Stars through center ice. They skate through that S logo. And they have the puck at the blue line. Now it's dumped forward, bouncing all the way to Grubauer. My goodness. How did that one get there? Not even sure. Now Grubauer tries to swat this thing aside. The puck is sent back to the blue line. Right there for the Kraken is Miller. Now it's dropped off for Benn. Benn goes down low. Kraken looking to close down things in the slot area. Now this one floats through, bounces off the end boards. Kraken get it on their sticks, but they can't get it out of the zone, John. 1 minute to go here in the power play, so 60 seconds have elapsed. But the Stars still looking strong, as we were just saying during the break. Now the puck goes back to Benn. Benn sends it across to the near circle. This one backhanded. Grubauer can't find it. It's now behind his cage. Multiple players come together. There's a shot from between the circles. Grubauer sends that one aside with the blocker. 38 seconds to go here in the power play. And Dallas with an errant pass has to collect the puck at center ice. It's on Miller's stick right now. And boy, the Kraken just trying to get a change. There goes Tanev. He was out for almost the entire penalty kill. Inside 3 minutes to play here in the second now. Cooper Hopkins on play-by-play along with John Ott, who's got analysis right now. This pass goes through the circles and goes to the blue line. Dallas has it here, now back to the blue line. It's to the near boards, held there by Domi. Domi winds up. He's going to fire that slapper 91 mile per hour one-timer. That's from a similar spot where Marchment scored. Now Domi has the puck again. Boy, Seattle having a rough time on this penalty kill. They have not been able to clear the puck even once. But the penalty is over. We're now back at even strength. Johnston 2-on-2. Here comes Seattle. They send this one over. And stretching for the puck right there for Seattle is Wenberg. And Matty Beniers on the ice as well as we close in on 2 minutes to play here. Eberle, he throws a good body against the end glass. Now Matty Beniers blocks the blue line. Drops it for Dunn. Dunn going to shovel this thing along. And it rattles around in the near corner now to the far corner. And the puck, great pass right there, is Geeky streaked in between the circles. Eberle picks up the loose change. No shot on this shift just yet as Ottinger goes down and watches the puck sail wide to his left. Good job right there by Schultz in the far corner, but he can't come away with the puck. Will Borgen is out there as the Stars try to get this one forward. Geeky with a bit of a back check, and Borgen will collect the puck that was chipped in, so the Dallas Stars get change. 1 minute, 35 seconds to go here in the second, and it's Schwartz with a pass forward for Geeky. He's still out on his shift. And Hakstol letting his boys get longer shifts right here. I guess you got the big break coming up in a few seconds with just about a minute and 20 seconds to go here in the middle stanza. 4-1 Seattle. 18 shots now for Dallas. They lead in that category to 16 for Seattle. But again, where it really counts, it's 4-1 Kraken. Puck chased down by the Stars and Lindell. He'll backhand this one along. It's chipped off the glass and around. And it's now off of Lindell one more time. Turned over. Good job by the Kraken. Now, here's a shot from the dot in the far circle. That one was fired on by Donato. Kraken keeping the zone here with inside a minute to play. A slapper from way out. Oh, I thought that was in, John, but it bounced off of Ottinger and went wide to his left. 45 seconds to go here in the second. Seattle trying to put a good push back on as they take the room here in just seconds. Good job entering the zone right there. Boy, there's a shot attempt, and that one is in, John. Ottinger can't believe it, but it's Eli Tolvanen, the former Predator, puts one in. Boy, an interesting sequence, John. I want to hear your thoughts on that one as the Kraken have opened it back up, 5-1.
Well, first of all, let me go back into the penalty kill when Grubauer was all over it, standing on his head. He was the best penalty killer when Seattle couldn't get out of their own end. Then all of a sudden they get a push. They get a long shot, and Eli Tolvanen goes in, and Ottinger just kind of bats at it softly, but he puts it right in the middle of the slot, and Tolvanen just jumps on the rebound and gets an easy goal.
Yeah, he does. Tolvanen just there for cleanup duty. He's really just in that mop-up spot in the slot, and it was Donato who carried that puck in. And you know what, John? What got me about that, even as I was calling the play in real time, Donato was given so much room by the Stars defenseman. He was not allowed to really rush the net, but he just had so much room to walk in. And speaking of walking in, here comes Seattle, but walking in too early is Ty Cartier, so it's offside with 31.9 to play, and Tolvanen, with his playoff mustache, we should point out, he puts a nice rebound in, and it's 5-1.
I gotta make sure I don't step on your call for that one. But yeah, he walked right into the side of the right side down, almost into the crease.
Yeah, and again, I really appreciate your professionalism here as the puck is loose. I think something's about to happen. Let's see. Like Cartier goes with the stick check there, but the puck is now out of the Dallas end. It's a 2-on-2 the other way, and there's a shot that is saved by Grubauer. John, I was expecting a goal call, and I think everyone in the building, other than Grubauer, was expecting it too. He whips the leather out and makes a glove save.
And he is absolutely locked in right now. He is just playing out of his mind in this period.
A 92-mile-per-hour ripped wrist shot going far post that Grubauer snags like it's nothing, and it's still 5-1 Seattle. Boy, the look on his face after the close-up on the TBS feed, he is dialed in, John. Unreal. This is scary for anyone trying to face him. Now here's a puck loose in front. Speaking of facing him, he was face-to-face right there, I think, with Robertson. And Robertson is denied as Grubauer goes with the poke check. But on the play, John, I think Robertson is brought down. Are we going to have another power play for the Stars?
Yep, we are. We're going to see who's going to serve it, but the Stars will indeed go on the power play.
Boy, credits to Joe Pavelski, a name we haven't really said all that much tonight. But he basically made a blind pass to the high slot where Robertson was streaking in. And I would make an argument, even if Robertson hadn't been tripped and interfered with right there, I think Grubauer still gets a clean poke check on that thing and makes the save. But either way, just a handful of seconds to go here in the second. I'm sure John's already at the break, but it's 2 minutes on the clock. The second power play of the period. Both have been for Dallas. And the Kraken will clear this thing all the way back down toward Ottinger. And the second, John, has come to a close on 21 shots. Just the one goal for the Stars in this period by Marchment. But so many goals. 5, in fact, by the Kraken. And we head to the break. 5-1 Seattle. Man, what a period.
Well, what's the one on the Anchorman side? Well, that escalated quickly because that's exactly what happened. Seattle absolutely dominant in the middle frame.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna say something here. I think you might agree with. There are a couple ways that we could go here. We could talk about any number of these goals individually and what they've meant to this game, and frankly, what they've meant to these players. We can talk about Matty Beniers getting on the score sheet. Hopefully, that blows the lid off the thing, and he just starts pouring them in. But let's talk about that Tolvanen goal. Not only because of the way that it came to be and sort of the soft, kind of confusingly soft defense that led to the bouncing puck that he cleaned up in front, but I think the fact that it was 4-0 and then made 4-1 by a beautiful shot, laser beam goal that was Dallas's first of the night. Okay, so the balloon has been popped, the shutout's gone, but Seattle answers to get that 4-goal cushion right back just a couple of minutes before heading back to the room.
Yeah, they do. And then it's just as soon as you pop that balloon, like you said, it just kind of seemed like the momentum all went Seattle's way. We know about the events, and we can talk about some of that in the intermission, but it's Eberle, Wenberg, Susie, Beniers, and Tolvanen, all different goal scorers as you would expect. They get 5 for Seattle. And Philip Grubauer, not even was standing in that penalty kill, but I mean, he made at least 5 or 6 saves, Cooper, where we could argue this could be a 5-3 game, but it's 5-1 in the break in the second.
Yeah, no question about it. Grubauer remains playoff Grubauer. It seems like there's a regular season version, and this is version 2.0, and it's a major improvement. And he just seems to be getting better and better. The harder the shot, the more accurate the shot. It's almost like the more likely he is to make the save. I think sometimes the only things that are going in Marchment's goal, obviously an exception here because that was a ripper. That was a beautiful goal. But it seems like it's got to be traffic, bouncing pucks, off of skates, off of shin pads, for him to then be out of position for his opponent to clean it up. But talking about types of goals, John, the Kraken can do it any way you like it. We have the Tolvanen goal, right? We have a bouncing puck out front that needs to be cleaned up from the slot. Okay, done. You want to go bar down? All right, Wenberg, he's got it. You want to go? You want to go Beniers? Sure, okay. I'm looking for a pass until. Oh, wait a second. I see I have room in front of me. I'm going to step into the space. I'm in the circle, and I'm going to fire 5-goal. I mean, the Kraken are just doing it every which way and making it look, I don't want to say making it look easy, but there is clearly a confidence there, and it shows, John. I mean, they're up 5-1, and you would expect them to come out with the same fire in the third.
Yeah, you have to. And that's what Dave Hakstol is going to make sure that he hammers down on that end. Because, as you said, you get a chance whether or not it's the 5-hole goals, but look at the Carson Soucy move. He was in the high slot, then in the middle of the slot, then gets near the left dot, makes a move off the backhand and scores up the 5-hole. Beniers kind of the same thing. And in the final goal, as you said, before the Tolvanen tip in out of the air, because let's face it, Jake Ottinger, if he had a chance to do it over again, he wouldn't bat it 2 miles an hour right in the middle of the slot for an easy finish. But it was just a drive right to the net that was allowed to pretty much go near the right side of the crease before Tolvanen was Johnny on the spot. I mean, it just kind of seemed like the defense is letting Seattle have those areas. And if you're going to do that, you're going to pay the price.
Yeah, and I don't want to use a cruel turn of phrase here, but paying the price is something that Miro Heiskanen did earlier in this game. I'm just as a human being, I'm hoping that he's all right. Obviously, he has not returned to the contest. That was a pretty serious injury there, a facial injury. So it looks like that he will. I'm not sure. I'm going to try to get a look at this and try to get an official read on it, John. But I would not expect to see him back. I mean, we've seen hockey players do pretty impressive things when it comes to injuries and getting stitches and coming right back for the next shift. But I don't know. I'm not sure he will come back tonight. And also, I'm not sure if you noticed, and I apologize for failing on this side of things a little bit. We saw Daniel Sprong take that hit in the corner. I'm not sure I saw him back out for another shift after taking that hit. Again, I may be completely incorrect. I may just not have seen him, or his ice time may have been reduced. But I didn't see him, John. Did you see Spronger out there again after that hit?
To your point, he's not been out there because his ice time's at 6:36, so he hasn't returned since taking the hit.
Interesting. So yeah, just again, things to be aware of. We know that Seattle's still without McCann, who is dealing with an injury, but he was actually back out skating with the team. He had a red non-contact jersey on. That doesn't necessarily mean that his return is imminent, but certainly a good sign for Seattle in their 40-goal scorer.
I mean, hey, if you can get him in the third round, I think they're definitely going to take it.
Oh, no question about it. If you get him for even one period of one game in the playoffs, you would take it, because the way he's been playing this season, you'd think that he's going to put one in, at least one. But man, oh man, even as I look at the scoreline here, the TBS coverage, it's 5-1 in the second intermission. I did genuinely believe that the Kraken were going to get the win tonight. And of course, it's easy to say now. We're looking at a 5-1 score. And Dallas still could change this game. They really, really could. We know that. We've made that point multiple times tonight. But the way the Kraken have responded to Dallas's pushes in this game, that's been arguably the most impressive thing, John. Yeah, the goals are fantastic, and of course you're trying to finish, and the Kraken have done so successfully. But it's those plays away from the goal mouth, just responding to Dallas's pressure, I think that's really impressed me.
Yeah, it has, because even though Grubauer's made a couple great saves and lost and all that too, is look at Adam Larsson. He was right on the doorstep for some timely clears, some stick lifts at the last moment to deny players like Benn and Robertson and Pavelski some opportunities. And that's got to be music to a lot of Seattle Kraken fans. We know how good Joe Pavelski is, and you and I, we love his game. But I got to imagine on the side of the fans, just to hear his name be so silent as far as the score sheet, that's got to be a huge win right now.
Yeah, and another win, too, for the Kraken. It is on the stat sheet. As we get set here in a few minutes for the third period, 26 hits for the home team. That's more than double what's officially registered for the Stars with just 12 hits, John. So when you're doing it all, right, this is what we were talking about with the types of goals scored by the Kraken. When we're looking at skill goals, when we're looking at greasy goals, we're looking at solid forechecking, other than a couple of poorly timed, I don't want to say egregious, but a couple of mental lapses, turnovers at neutral ice for Seattle, that one of which did result in the only goal for the Stars.
Yeah.
Other than a couple of blips, John, you got physicality, you got goal scoring, crisp passing, you have, at least for the time being, You're 1 of 1 on the penalty kill. Dallas will have the majority of a power play to start the third period. We'll see if they can make use of that. But it's been a pretty complete performance by Seattle so far.
Yeah, not to mention, too, I know I keep going with Grubauer, but let's talk about this for a second. Seattle going into the postseason was 27th on the penalty kill. They're second in these playoffs.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a huge credit to the goaltender, but also to the team in front of him, right? To just flip, I mean, almost literally flip the script.
Yes.
Well, not literally, but they are changing the narrative game by game, John. They are not only making locals believers. I think that everyone paying attention to these playoffs is starting to see just how deep, talented, reliable, resilient. Let's go through the list of adjectives. The Kraken are for real.
Yeah, they are. And again, I know Cooper is not going to make fun of me on this, but I just wanted to throw out my reservation and say I wanted to see what Seattle could do against the Colorado Avalanche. But after that, all bets are off. I could think Seattle could go as far as they want to.
Yeah, and John, it's truly, I know it seems like hyperbole, but it's a night that I won't forget. I'm so glad that you and I were on the call together for that Game 7, where the defending Stanley Cup champions are taken down in Colorado by the upstart second-year Seattle Kraken on the same night that the Bruins go down to the Panthers, as we talked about earlier. I mean, what a special evening in the world of hockey, and for us as fans and guys who cover these games and care. But you know what? This Dallas Stars team was, I think, clearly believed to be the better of the two going into round 2. And they're still so evenly matched, are the Kraken and Stars. But as Seattle showed with Colorado, this is to your point that you made just a minute ago, the Kraken just will not be pushed around. And if they can do this at home, right, they've had a little more success on the road, home, kind of the flip of the coin. If they can start doing this at Climate Pledge, look out. And by no means we're not crowning them the winners of this series.
Sure.
But if we project forward and we're looking at the Knights and one of the Knights and the Oilers, yeah, there are tough players to defend. I mean, the Kraken defense, that team defense, has been so strong. No matter who you get, if you're going to see the Knights or the Oilers, they're dangerous teams.
Yeah.
But I like what I'm seeing from Seattle. I think they at least have a chance.
No, they do. Again, it's not going to matter at this point from everything with Colorado and Dallas now. It won't matter who Seattle plays. I'm confident now that regardless whoever they get for the rest of this tournament, the Stanley Cup playoffs, they're going to play their game against both teams. And again, to your point between wins and homes and losses, I'm not going to drive the stake too much for Toronto Maple Leafs fans as far as home and road splits. But Maple Leafs have been awful at Scotiabank Arena right now. And Seattle's kind of just fitting the bill. I'm playing around 500, playing dominant on the road. That's exactly what you need to do as far as your splits, on top of your goaltending, as top of your defense, on top of rolling out all 4 lines. If you pigeonhole everything into a book as far as a game plan, and then also taking all of your penalty kill struggles and completely reversing those. Look, we knew that Seattle, out of the 32 teams, they're the newest expansion. They were 31st in draws. And when you're talking about Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin and Luke Glendening, those are guys that can absolutely shut you down around Joe Pavelski. But it's also a matter of perspective for some people. When the draws in the offensive end, defensive end, kind of foreshadow those, you know you're not going to win those battles, but everything else you're getting the checkmark box on. And that's what good teams need to do. You can't be completely dominant all the time, but Seattle's never starstruck no matter who they play. It's really awesome to watch.
Yeah, it really is, and I can't recall a team using every player on their roster the way that Seattle uses every player on their roster. I mean, we got Carson Soucy put one in tonight. Yeah, I didn't expect to call a goal for Carson Soucy, but you know what? It's just part of what makes this so impressive by the Kraken. And all these guys, they have these jobs for a reason. They can do it all. They can do it all when it comes to the game of hockey. But Seattle really allows and encourages the team to have everybody contribute in every way possible. And that's usually, John, I would say that's usually not a recipe for success. Even in life, kind of in general, when we talk to people meet somebody new. Oh, what do you do for work? What is the thing you do? What is the specific thing that you pay attention to, that you work on? How do you contribute professionally? Well, you know what? These guys for the Kraken, they buck the trend. They can almost across the board do it all.
Yeah, no, you're right. Everybody has specialized roles. That's what happens in teams when you play these games. But everybody might have a role, but it kind of seems a name only. They're all expected to perform like first and second liners and play the right way and do the right things and not take penalties and be smart on the ice, make passes, score goals, play defense. Everybody's doing it all. It doesn't matter who it is. You could put any name on the jersey with any number, and you couldn't differentiate their play. And I think that that's what makes it so special. Very quickly, because before we get into the third period side, and again, when we close the game out, we'll talk about our last discussion. I just want to talk about very quickly the NHL draft lottery. That is going to be on Monday. Again, that'll be just before the game that I cover on Monday on the Vegas and Edmonton side. I will give you the game 3 coverage before I'll be taking a couple days away. But I just want to throw my hat in the ring, and this is just complete fandom on my part because I know Detroit never moves up. And I know Vancouver never moves up. No, I wasn't happy. And no, Cooper and I talked about situations in between the Ottawa series late in the year where the barn doors fell off and Detroit was out of it. They were in it at that point until they weren't. But now with all of those losses, they have a 5% chance to draft Connor Bedard. I know it's just 5%. I don't know what kind of fandom, what kind of fortune tellers I need. Can we get a number 1 or number 2 spot? I'll take Adam Fantilli. Give me something.
John, you know what? And I normally we try to step away from that. I am saying this with complete bias because we are friends. I for some reason never envisioned it until this very moment. I now so badly want Connor Bedard to wear the winged wheel. Not only does it look in my mind, it looks right to me, it feels right. That would send the franchise back to where it deserves to be, which is in the upper echelon, the elite of the NHL, which is, let's be honest, even after some down years, some extended downtime for the Red Wings as they've rebuilt, the Red Wings have and always will be the elite of the NHL. And Connor Bedard in Detroit, now that you've said it out loud, it just seems right. I'm squinting right now trying to will it into existence for you, my friend.
I appreciate that. Right now they're slotted 9th, which probably means they'll fall to 10 or 11. That's the way that it's been going. But I'll try to keep some optimism. If you move up at all, we will see what happens. Right now, Anaheim has the number 1 chance at 25%, then Columbus, then Chicago. And Cooper, I know we talked about this months and months ago. It kind of seems like a Chicago Blackhawks resurgence would make sense. I know he said that, but those are some of those ones that'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern on Sportsnet.
Yeah, and so, John, I know we're getting close to the end of the break here before we start the third. Just catch me up. I know you've been covering a lot of things. I know you're going to have to take a break this coming week, but what does your schedule look like as far as you know right now?
So Monday, again, it's going to be Vegas and Edmonton, and I think Thursday I might try to get a game. But this weekend we'll be with the Sharks on Saturday and Sunday, so it'll be an early Mother's Day matinee because they're in the finals against the Muskegon Voyagers and a best of 5. So I will get 2 broadcasts with them this weekend, so hopefully go Sharks.
That's awesome, my friend. And as I've asked before, if you can, just keep me posted on. I still have the information about where to tune in, but let us know because I'm always ready to tune in. And I know there's lots of NHL action, but I don't want to miss my Sharks action either. So if San Jose can't make it, then we gotta go Waterford. So that's the only choice we have.
That's what I'm hoping. I'd like to see something. The only unfortunate thing, again, these guys got to get the title wherever you can get it. It's the same thing for the Avalanche last year when they won it away from Ball Arena. You win it where you can win it. So we'll get the first 2 home games and see what happens after that. Muskegon, who they're playing, that's the 3 years in existence in the Michigan Independence Hockey League. They won the last 2. So Waterford's a new territory. They got to play against the back-to-back champions, and we'll see if they can do it.
Well, as the saying goes, you got to beat the best to be the best. So go Sharks, go!
It'll be fun to watch on that side. I appreciate. I'll let everybody know this far on the weekend. And as far as the broadcast and everything, it's starting to look pretty good on that side. So I think we'll get enough camera angles, and hopefully I don't ramble on too much in the call. And Don't make everybody's ears bleed.
You couldn't if you tried, my friend. No, you have the top-notch pedigree, just like your wings. You are the elite. So don't doubt yourself. I'm excited for you, and I'm glad you're getting some more work, and hopefully I can tune in.
We have a development on the ice. Scott Wedgwood is going to play the third period.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I know that TBS gave him a little camera time, and you mentioned it earlier in our coverage. I think that you pointed it out, my friend. Ottinger just didn't look like himself. And so now we're going to see those black, green, and white pads of Scott Wedgwood. And there's a ball cap on the head of Jake Ottinger. That's not something we're used to seeing either. I know, John, we're underway. If you want to jump into the play-by-play, feel free, my friend.
Okay, I can take it the rest of the way you want. He did get 5 goals, and I'll just finish off the rest of this thing. So this is set now across the red line in Seattle. We'll try to kill this second power play for Dallas. Again, no power plays for Seattle. And when we talked about it in some of these other games, especially between Toronto and Florida, there was just one power play across the board. So these whistles are being kept short as this is away from Jamie Benn. And now near the left side of the red line, this will be picked up by Seattle. And they'll flip this one down the ice. And Wedgwood get a chance to take a look at it. And again, Scott Wedgwood, for all intents and purposes, he is a very excellent backup goaltender. So if there was ever a situation, I don't think Dallas would be way out to lunch on that side. They could definitely still win playoff series with this guy, but they're going to need to get Jake in there as quickly as possible. Grubauer tried to play it, but they blew it dead first, so Dallas's power play stays at 39 seconds.
Yeah, just a decent job here. I'm going to say a better job on this second penalty kill by the Kraken. A little bit more skating. I'd like to see a bit of a forecheck, even just from one of the penalty killers. Nice job by the Kraken to, like we said, John, in our coverage, got to get those fundamentals, just like Tim Duncan.
Absolutely on that side. I try not to sound too crazy about what I bring to you, but the fundamentals are important, especially when you get to the playoffs and you're trying to win things and keep them poised and even keel. I think Seattle has probably been one of the best teams in the league at doing that. I don't think that's too crazy to even say. As this goes the other way now for Ryan Suter. Still 25 seconds left to go. Evgeny Dadonov. Hard to believe he was let go from Vegas and now Montreal on that side because he's been excellent since he started playing for Dallas. And now near the left side of the red line. This is kept in by Suter. Spends his line on the third line nowadays mostly, but he's on the second power play. Now there's a race for the puck. There's a chance now for Tanev. Crosspass scores! Seattle short-handed. It's 6-1 Yanni Gourde.
Unreal, John. Absolutely unreal. And again, apologies to our listeners and our viewers. I'm a couple seconds behind here, but I'm seeing this play develop now. It's almost like it's happening live. That's an active stick by Tanev. He comes down the near wall, pass across, wide open cage. Talk about fundamentals. That's how you do it, John. You move your feet, put your stick in passing lanes. You hustle down the ice, and that is his teammate. Not standing and watching Brandon Tanev go on that rush. That's Yanni Gourde coming in as the trailer, and he puts it into a truly wide open cage. This thing has been blown all the way open, John.
And I'm looking at a Dallas back check on the side and saying, where's my defense at? I know it bounced off Ryan Suter, but as you said, Tanev never stopped skating, and Yanni Gourde with his third of the postseason, he's tied with Bjorkstrand for the most on the team. I know 3 goals doesn't sound like a lot, but when you split it amongst 17 different skaters, well, then there you go. So now Dallas on their second power play, they get up a shorthanded goal, and it's 6-1. And Seattle has 18 shots, and they've scored on 33% of them. There's your rough math.
Hey, who doesn't want a little extra academics? Hockey. Let's get the entertainment and some education. Thumbs up, my friend.
And if I'm Wedgwood and I have to come in cold and that's the first shot I have to face, I'm talking to my defense there, Cooper.
Yeah, let's make no mistake. I mean, you're coming in a 5-1 contest, just hoping to keep things where they are, maybe so your team can get one more goal, a little bit of a moral victory. Then you get a turnover at the blue line in the O-zone, and you watch your entire team try to chase down Brandon Tanev, who looks like Johnny Gaudreau on that thing. He's wearing number 13. He was flying. And Yanni Gourde, he comes through on the far side, takes a perfect pass, Makes no mistake, 6-1, end of story.
Thomas Harley now. Is this a stolen away from Hockenpot? 2-on-1. Here's a chance for Gourde. Oh, he didn't shoot. He tried to get a little too cute there. And this will go back the other way. I guess I can excuse that because it's 6-on-1. Won't get too many yelling on that side. I don't even think from Dave Hakstol, but still, this kid knocked away from Hockenpot and he had a chance. Matty Beniers off a bouncing puck. Plays off the backhand. All of this goes off the outside of the cage. The red light I thought was going to come on. Stolen again by Seattle. They're all over it. Toward the left side of the dot. And now spun around the net. These kind of feels like pulling off the dogs right now. This feels almost like a laugher, and this is Dallas. I have to remind myself of that. Here's Beniers off the forehand behind the net. He's going to stay patient. He gets dumped there by Colin Miller, and now he's getting called for a penalty or for a trip. He doesn't like it, but Seattle going to go on the power play.
Well, John, you know what we said is we both fully expected this, that the Kraken, even with a massive lead going into the second intermission, they were going to come back with the same kind of fire they've showed all game. I did not expect that fire to get turned up even hotter. John, they look better than they have all game long, and they've looked fantastic tonight.
And again, for Matty Beniers in game 2, when I know he was kind of banging at his hands, upset with himself, he took some pot shots. He got roughed up a little bit. Man, he's bounced out and looked good. He's got 2 points in this game. This whole Seattle team, like Cooper said, they've been all over it.
Yeah, this is impressive stuff. I mean, you're talking about coming into a third period already with a 4-goal cushion. You're sitting at 5-1. You're on the penalty kill. You'd think, all right, just like John and Cooper saying, let's just play fundamentals. We'll sit back. We'll get in passing lanes. We'll clear the puck. Nope. Tanev presses at the blue line. He gets that partial breakaway, finds Gourde, and now it's 6-1. All of a sudden, then they're drawing penalties. They get their first of the night in the third. They can make it 7-1 here, John.
So 1:30 left to go on the Seattle power play. It's their first. Wenberg able to keep this one on side to the right side of the dot. Here's a long shot. This will actually fall back to Oliver Bjorkstrand as they'll play this back around the net. Eberle going to take a look at it, but the puck doesn't bounce toward him. As Let's Go Kraken chants alive and well. Fans are standing and pounding the glass. And I do see some Beniers jerseys, so that does make me very happy as this is spin around from Schultz. Seguin will get this one down. And it's 1:05 left to go on the Seattle power play. 6 different goal scorers tonight, 13 players with a point, and the train just keeps on rolling for the Kraken. It's just pretty spectacular. This team just can get it done no matter who's out on the ice. And that's just a special, special hockey team right now. As it's Bjorkstrand, this gets taken away from him. Matty Beniers, this is off the steal. This will go back to Seattle on defense. Now 40 seconds left to work with here. Ty Cartier takes the pass off the wall. Beniers calmly off the backhand, sent it out in front. Wedgwood trying to close the 5-hole, and he finds it.
Yeah, boy, Wedgwood, since we're talking about the fire that the Kraken are playing with, Wedgwood thrown right into that fire. And he gets burned on that shot by Gourde. That was basically the first that he faced, Wedgwood, I should say. And Cartier on this power play, I like that bank pass to Beniers. And a good stop by Wedgwood to find that puck that was loose in front to keep this thing at 6-1.
This is a sight, man. I hope one day we can go out and check a game on Climate Pledge together because this is fantastic.
No question. See, you already have the Beniers jersey. I got to get mine now.
As this is picked up now across the blue line, and now Seattle will reset. 25 seconds in which to work with on the power play. There's only been 3 opportunities across the board. Dallas has scored once. Seattle was on there first, but Dallas is down 6-1. And even if this is just a show-me type of game, again, we already know what Seattle can do, but I mean, still, they're doing this against Dallas, and it's very impressive.
Yeah, it really is. Obviously they had this power play here, and as that's coming to a close, at least on my feed, you know what? They're just here doing what they do, letting everyone contribute and making life HE double hockey sticks for their opponent. They've had a really complete contest tonight.
There really is no argument from me. Again, you understand what the shot board says, 22-19, but opportunistic, I think, would be a little bit of a disservice because Seattle has just been all over it as far as their forecheck, their back check, everything else. Grubauer's made some fantastic saves in the second period. No one's going to deny that, but I mean, you're going to have a little bit of that. That's why we have goaltenders, and that's why this puck goes off sides.
Yeah, John, it's gonna be a tough one. If now we're getting to a point, as there's still plenty of time in the third. The score still could change. We'll see what Dallas has left in the tank here, at least for this game, and how much more pushing Seattle wants to do. But it's going to be really interesting. That kind of first, second, and third star debate, which is always a fun one to have. I think they're probably all for the home team, but it's going to be tough to pick and put those in order as I start to think about that.
I'm going to throw Matty on one of those, and that's no bias.
No, I think you're right. I think he's going to make an appearance. It's just, we'll see. I think he's still got time to get that multi-point game. So come on, number 10.
We will see what happens with that. I want to make a mention of this. We know where the game is headed with 14:05 in the third thereabouts. But Jake Ottinger, I believe, coming off of a loss, is 7-1 with his goals against under 120. So you got to keep that in mind. He certainly answered in game 2, and he's going to be right back out there in game 4 unless Peter DeBoer has some type of other things going on. It's going to be Jake Ottinger in the crease as this falls back to Wedgwood.
Yeah, so, things seem to start to settle down here. We're now over the 6 minutes gone in the third. Dallas, still making an effort. Seattle's still making an effort. I'm not saying anyone's turned off the Jets, but this is just now kind of some standard back and forth hockey. We'll see if Dallas wants to really go above and beyond to try to get another goal here. But maybe, John, as we get closer to the halfway point in the third, we might see that scoreline get pretty locked in at 6-1.
Yeah, I want to see too, because I know I mentioned this as far as the shot goes up the outside of the cage, but Dallas isn't one of those teams that throws hands anymore. And a scoreline like this might dictate that, but Seattle really doesn't do that much either. So I don't think we're going to see much of that. We're just going to kind of see this game play out. And as we talked about in the first period, this might be a in reverse version of New Jersey and Carolina on that side, as Roope Hintz will send this back across the blue paint, but this is picked up by Seattle. Off the long flip. This will go down the ice, but not far enough, as this will be picked up by Dallas now, and a good back pass, but this almost gets intercepted by Beniers, but Evgeny Dadonov trying to stay up the forehand. He tries to look for the right circle. A shot off the backboards, but Grubauer will find it with the glove hand, and we might be going to commercial break with 13:02.
Yeah, this is at least so far relatively light work for Philip Grubauer. Of course, he had a pretty active second period, and John, you did such a good job to point out all of the fantastic work he did in that second frame, including, I'm not going to forget that anytime soon, just that whipped glove thing,
Yes.
that flashing the leather, that far post wrister that he made it look like nothing. Just snatches it out of thin air. And this is a little bit of a different period for Phillips. So good on him to, after the multiple days off, to again, stay locked in, do the hard work when it's required of him. And then now, again, we don't want to make any assumptions. Dallas probably has one or two really solid pushes left in them here in this game. But Grubauer's up to the task. And also, if he, not cruising, but if he can just stick to the basics and not be called on in a major way, I think that's great for the Kraken.
Yeah, keep it level and keep the shots maybe about 6, 7, or 8. Make sure he's not too overworked there, so that way you can go into game 4 with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, no question about it. Okay, since it's on my brain, here's the question as we get close to the end of the media timeout here. So, if Matty Beniers is one of the 3 stars for you, at this point, knowing that things could change again in the third, who else is on there for you for the Kraken?
That is going to be a tough call on that side because I'm looking at some of the other ones that have multiple points, and there only is one other one. But I'm going to throw out Yanni Gourde. He's someone that stood out, and I'm probably going to throw out Grubauer.
Yeah, Grubauer, I think, especially if the score stays the way it is, and then it's going to be tough. I like the Yanni Gourde call. I also have liked Jordan Eberle's game tonight,
Yes.
and that Wenberg goal was such a beauty. Got to at least consider him. Man, this is going to be I know we don't always go with our 3 stars, but just because this has been so lopsided for the Kraken, that's what put it into my head tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I'm glad that we're not betting men because it'd be almost impossible to try to choose the pick in between the whole team because they've all been good.
Yeah, indeed. No question about it. I mean, and now we're getting the highlight package. All of these goals. There's the Butte, the wrister over the top from, 5-0 from Beniers, and there's the shot of the sun setting. And Seattle, man, oh man. And I actually be up there soon, John. We might be working some playoff games, and I might be right there where the Kraken are playing at this very moment.
If it is, you're going to have to do that. We do have a development the other way. Right off the draw, we talk about faceoffs. Yanni Hockenpaz steps into one. He wires it past Grubauer, and it's 6-2.
Oh my goodness, I apologize. I didn't mean to step on your call there. It's that pesky delay yet again. Pretty muted celebration there from the Stars. So that's only their second, and they have lots of work to do to even get close in this thing. But yeah, Hockenpaz, man, he fires one. That is right on the corner. That pipes meet there, the crossbar and the post, John. That thing was lasered. I don't even think Grubauer saw it until the last second.
No, that's a perfect call by you because that's a perfect shot the other way. So it's 6-2. And again, we just mentioned this as far as I think Grubauer can safely give up one more, but you don't want to make sure that you keep it any closer than that, as this is just a mass of bodies in behind Wedgwood here. It's Hockenpaz from Benn. Again, Benn's been really good in the circle. Maybe not as much tonight on that side of it, but they're still winning the faceoff battle by about 16. And again, that's per usual on that end because Dallas one of the betters, and Seattle is one of the worst on that side, the 31st. As this is recollected now, we'll fake the slapper. Donato will send this one back down. Now a chance for Wenberg. Wenberg back around the boards. It'll be Morgan Geeky trying to poke a stick at it. Yanni Hockenpaz back out there. And he will flip this, but this gets stolen by Seattle. They'll keep this alive off the delayed offside and race in is Yanni Gourde. Good job to step through a hit there from Jamie Benn. You know, he can certainly deliver those, but it gets stolen by Larsson. And the high slot now, Waits fires. Big glove save by Wedgwood, but he doesn't have a stick. This is back in behind now. His stick's nowhere close. Here comes the slapper off the headboards. And now a pickup for Seattle. Fire again, Tolvanen near the left side. Sent back around the boards again. Oliver Bjorkstrand. He just makes the right play. Back here for Borgen. And now an opportunity just standing up there is Wedgwood. The goal stick still nowhere near him. Near the left side of the red line. Dug in deep. Borgen now sends this toward the right side dot. Yanni Gourde in the high slot. It's Jamie Alexiak off the backhand. He's got it. Throws it back there to Gourde. Fake the slapper. This is not a power play, but it feels like one. Yanni Gourde sent back around the embankment. Now Dallas trying to get this out of the backhand, and they do. Wyatt Johnston will just kiss this out of the zone. But Bjorkstrand has this across the tentacle S. He will pass it back. He'll get his changes as this falls back to Justin Schultz. Felt like I haven't called his name all night as this is sent in. Take a look at it. Does Wedgwood. And this is turned over yet again by Dallas. I know what the score line is, but still, they got to clean it up in their own end going into game 4. They've been very sloppy as this goes back around the other way. And Seattle has forced some of those. Don't discredit that as this is sent the other way. Ty Cartier trying to get a stick on it alongside Matty Beniers. It's Tyler Seguin. Again, he won the Stanley Cup with the Boston Bruins that many years ago. It's been a long time as it's picked up now. Seguin off the forehand fires it in off the short side, and one of the Dallas Stars gets taken down. That was Roope Hintz, but he's got it now. Trying to send it out in front to Harley, who was cutting in. And now this could be something. It's a 2-on-2. Seattle will play this off the back skate. This goes just away from Cartier. He would have been wide open. But now it's a chance for Eberle off the drop. Matty Beniers in the high slot and over to the right side of the blue line. I'll have to flip this back around because Larsson was the one that was pressing. And now we have 9:45 left to go in this third as it's sent back around for Roope Hintz and now Thomas Harley. So the first line for Peter DeBoer's squad will take some changes as the fans continue to pound the glass and wave their towels at Climate Pledge. This is an absolute sight right now. Again, getting a chance to get postseason hockey in just their second season. It was a true expansion year for Seattle last year. But this team is night and day from last year. They had some flashes of maybe making the postseason, but I don't think anybody expected this. Is this in the high slot? This is off a broken stick, and one of the Seattle forwards throws it back out there, I believe, to Larsson. He had his stick shattered. He got a new one from one of the forwards who's going to go to the bench now as this puck is trying to get picked up before it gets flipped to the bench. We get a stoppage at 9:03.
Yeah, nice sequence of unbroken play right there. And the Kraken, after that second goal by the Stars with the Hockenpaz, that big slap shot off the faceoff win, the Kraken doing a nice job to not sit back. You know, you think, okay, hey, we still have 4 goal cushion here. Let's just be simple, straightforward. We can go into a bit of a shell. No, they've been pushing. And I like to see that, John. They want to keep their foot on the gas because if this game finishes the way that it has been all night, which has been a big advantage for Seattle and a win upcoming here in just a few minutes, unless something otherworldly happens. I mean, this is pretty special. The Seattle Kraken, as you pointed out, just their second year here, they're going to be just 2 wins away, John, from the Western Conference Final. It's so strange to even say that.
It is, but I mean, everything that we've talked about in those checkmark boxes, I won't beat those down to ad nauseum, but it's true. Seattle's done everything they needed to do to be in this point. They deserve to be here, and they're playing like they should be here.
Yeah, they certainly are. And you know what? I do want to talk about just playing like you should be here. Wedgwood, with his work, no stick, as the Seattle Kraken did look like they were on a power play. They certainly were not. But they were cycling in the ozone in a more extended time than I think at any point in the game. And he stood tall there. A couple shots did get through, and he did not have the big paddle and looked confident in net there. And that's tough when you're just thrown into the mix after your starter gets pulled.
No doubt. But again, that's one of the situations, and I know Cooper knows this, but I'll just throw this out there for those that hadn't seen Dallas too much, or you don't see too much of the backup goaltender, because Ottinger played 63 games this year. Wedgwood's more than capable of getting the job done. To be able to do that with extended zone time without a stick for about 2 minutes, that's good work by him.
Yeah, it certainly is. And you know what, Grubauer, other than the one goal being let in, which, again, I think if we were to see a replay, I'm not sure. There's kind of a partial screen there by not only one of the Stars, but one of his own defensemen. I don't think he saw that until too late. And you made a great point, John. It's no major concerns here. I think as long as a third isn't found by Dallas, then no problems. Everyone can take a deep breath, and as long as the players in front of him keep playing the way they are, we should see this thing get wrapped up here pretty soon.
And I just want to get a quick comment in from you. Unless something in development happens, I'll jump in. But on the side of it, look, we know what happened in Game 2. It was a dominant win there for Dallas, but I think it's good to show face value for Seattle to give them a taste of their own medicine.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's nice to win close ones. It's great to build confidence by finding a way to win in overtime. But you know what? If you can beat a team as good as the Dallas Stars like this in the playoffs, this is just what we were talking about earlier, John. If the Kraken are able to continue on, if they are able to win this series, then they're facing 2 teams that they can look back on a game like this and say, you know what? We can take on the best in the West. We can take on the best of any NHL team, and we can win it by 5. We can win it by 4, and we can do it in overtime if we need to. But we can also really put you down in the dirt and just get a big fat W. They're doing that tonight.
Yeah, they are, and it's really nice to see. As this is sent the other way now against Seattle, going to take the rest of this period here, and it looks like they're going to take this one home. We got 7:30 left to go here in this third. John underwent in the play-by-play, being joined by Cooper Hopkins. He was so gracious to let me have the third period because he had a bunch of goal calls the other way. On this, I had just 2 on that end, so he definitely got his workout after having the scoreless first. It's been all Seattle the rest of the way here. Now Schultz will get this off the back end. It's the home Navy against Seattle. I do think this is no prejudice or bias or anything on that side. I think Seattle's got one of the best jerseys in the league right now. They absolutely slam those ones down with the home Navy. And I'm not just saying that because I have one. And on the other end, it's the black pants for Dallas with the victory whites, not victory greens. That's what they got right now, if you want to call those that. As this is flipped here for Roope Hintz now. Hintz will try to get this here for Seguin. They've mixed those lines up in a little bit. Roope Hintz, very underrated player. He's going to make a play falling down, and this will be Tyler Seguin. Here comes the slap shot. Big save by Grubauer. He'll find it and hold. As I think Roddick Foxa took a very late cross check.
Yeah, John, again, I'm seeing this play unfold for me here, so let's take a quick peek and see if Fox potentially, let's see, we have a late, yeah, you're right, John, I'm just seeing it right now, and that did look like a late move right there, and I think that was, we had Gourde in the mix and Susie. Yeah, I'm seeing what you're seeing as well. That's a strange play right there.
We also have another late development that had just crossed my screen. Robertson got hit in the face by Alexiak, and there was no call. That was just blatantly missed. As this is sent back down here now, it'll be Thomas Harley. We'll try to wrap this around as Larsson will get to Harley. Will be stuck in his own end. And now we have a hand in the air.
All right, I'm seeing what you're seeing here too with that Robertson replay. Yeah, that was a blatant high stick. It should have been a power play immediately for the Stars. Now we are inside 6:30 to play here, and again, apologies for the delay on my side, but I think we have another. It's going to be a high stick, John, on Donato. Is that correct on your side?
Yes, it is. And don't worry about the delay. Again, I'm just happy to have you on this side. Sometimes we just happen to be 20 or 25 seconds, or sometimes it's me, so we never can tell with these.
Well, at least we're in business, and guess what? The Dallas Stars are in business on man advantage yet again. And Donato shakes his head, but I think on the big replay boards there, he's seeing what took place, and tough to argue with that call. That's pretty straightforward, almost as straightforward as it gets when it comes to making calls in the big leagues on NHL ice. And so, John, this is a chance for Dallas maybe to close this gap, cut the lead to 3, and maybe get themselves, again, no moral victories in the playoffs, but it couldn't hurt to get one more here.
No, and it doesn't ever hurt to get practice on the power play side to convert and get the correct movement. That's exactly what Peter DeBoer is going to want to see. If you're not going to win this game, at least execute on your power play and do it right. But again, we've got to talk about this. No Miro Heiskanen, who's always the power play quarterback. And he's essentially like another forward, and we don't even know when he's going to be available again.
Yeah, and that's a tough one. I'm going to certainly keep my eye on that. I hope that wherever he is stitched up and recovering as quickly as possible. Even though he's playing for the team that is facing the team I'm personally rooting for, I am rooting for him to be A-OK because he's a great player in this league.
Absolutely. Here's a chance short-handed, and that pass goes just too far. Wedgwood almost dropped his goal stick, and it would have been Matty Beniers trying to get his 3rd point of the game. That's an odd sequence, and now it's Evgeny Dadonov who will enter this off the backhand. And now here's a race. Here's a chance cutting off the one-on-one. Seattle got to shoot quickly, and this is right in the 5-hole of Wedgwood. It was Matty Beniers, but he knew he was going to get cut off there. He let it go, and Wedgwood made the stop.
John, a couple of things here. I'm glad that you said it out loud. I actually had forgotten that Matty Beniers, with a goal and an assist already here, and he almost had another goal on that shorthanded break. He was closed down by a couple of Stars, but still had a clear shooting lane. Good stop by Wedgwood. The multi-point game for Matty Beniers, I got to say, John, I called it. I feel pretty good about myself at this moment because normally I make calls like, oh, the Bruins will miss the playoffs, or oh, the Rangers will beat the Devils and move to round 2. So I'll take the win when I can get it, and I got Matty Beniers tonight with the multi-pointer.
And nobody's happier than you and I on that side. I love seeing the smile there from Matty. It's just nice to see the 20-year-old get some meaningful playoff experiences. The first ever draft pick for the Seattle Kraken. Very cool for the Michigan man.
No question about it. If things are going the right way for number 10 in blue, then they're usually going the right way for the entire team, and that is absolutely the case tonight. It's great to see.
Yes, it is. 15 seconds left to go on the Dallas power play. Somebody on Seattle absolutely blew a tire. I didn't see the number. I hope they're okay. The crowd definitely reacted to that. As this is flipped back here for Wedgwood. They'll leave it out here for Colin Miller. He's getting the time because of not Heiskanen not being out there. He's got the number 1 power play time. He can certainly do that, but you're not going to have him drive this puck as this is flipped down the other way. Eberle will get a piece of it here as Jamie Alexiak will send this back pass. And Will Borgen will take his time. Here's another long outstretch pass. So Seattle, they're liking this 100-foot passing game right now, whether or not it gets intercepted or not. They're going for broke here with these passes. It's 26-23 on the shot board, but Seattle up 6-2. Again, Dallas got one more with Yanni Hockenpah in this 3rd, but again, it was a Yanni Gourde goal that kept the scoreline right at 4. As this is set now across the right side boards, Eberle just being pinned again to the glass. This is for the 5th time I can mention this. Again, the last time for the play-by-play was in the first period for me, but it's about 4 Stars to 1 Seattle Kraken. Ryan Donato is getting knocked down, getting cross-checked by Harley, but this is what Seattle. They'll almost flub it at the blue line. This will allow Dallas to make a pass, but yet another giveaway and yet another takeaway. It's Eberle now. Here's a backhanded pass trying to corral the puck and settle it down. It was Donato, and it looks like we get some more pushing and shoving now near the bench. The camera just cut away. It is Vince Dunn and Mason Marchment holding on to the stick. He's not letting go.
Yeah, John, you were talking about how these teams haven't been leaning into the fisticuffs necessarily, but there definitely is a little bit of bad blood here. You can see that. Marchment, one of the 2 goal scorers for the Stars, yeah, he was taking a couple of gloved punches from Dunn there, and we're going to try to sort this thing out. Are we going to have offsetting penalties here, or are they just getting pulled apart, John?
Looks like we might have a penalty because it looks like, oh my goodness, you're going to get these ones after me. You can help me on this. It was Dunn getting caught up there with Ty Dellandrea, and then there was some punches from the Dallas bench.
Interesting stuff here. I'm taking a look at this right now. And, yeah, you see Marchment go after Dunn with a low cross-check there. Dellandrea, yeah, and then you got Jamie Benn pulling on Dunn's stick. Jamie Benn throwing punches from his seated position to the left of former Chicago Blackhawk, now media man, Patrick Sharp. And we've cut to the commercials on my side, but it looks like we're going to have some things to sort out when we get back, John.
I think we should because, again, if you're Jamie Benn, I don't think you should be able to get away with throwing punches while you're seated.
No, especially when you pull your opponent into your bench so you can reach him with your fist. That doesn't seem like it should be allowed. But we'll see what the Zebras have to say. Yeah, it's been an interesting third period. Of course, we've had the goal from Hakanpää, but otherwise, other than Wedgwood playing without a stick for what seemed like 10 minutes, it's been relatively straightforward. The power play for the Stars came and went. So another nice penalty kill by Seattle. But this is going to be an interesting sequence here. I wonder if there will be any power play time or maybe a 4-on-4, and we'll see if that changes anything here in the closing minutes of this game.
Yeah, we're going to have to get that squared away. Again, I'm just giving you what I see live on the ESPN box. It says right at 16:51, they have a Mason Marchment minor against Dunn, a Jerry Benn minor against Dunn, and a Vince Dunn minor against Marchment. So we'll see how that squares away.
Yeah, okay, good eye by you. Thanks for giving us those details, my friend. And then one other detail, too. So not only does Matty Beniers have that multi-point game, he's actually the only member of the Seattle Kraken who has a multi-point game. He's got the goal and assist, does Matty. And there is a point at least for 12 of the 18 skaters, John. 2/3 of the Seattle Kraken have a point tonight. And we'll see if anybody gets another. But what a game for this team. It's a classic Kraken night for sure.
Yeah, it is. And again, I understand playoffs, regular season, or whatnot, but that's the thing that's just so damn impressive for me about this team. It doesn't matter the situation, what the team is, they just continually play their game seemingly better than any of the teams that we see all year.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And now with, on my side, 3 minutes to go. I know it's less than that for you, but Seattle is on the power play. I think it was that Benn punch thrown from the bench that made the difference, John. So the Kraken have a chance here to get to lucky number 7.
And you know what? They just did, because Wedgwood, that was a floating puck the other way. It might have bounced off Lindell, but it's a power play goal for Seattle. They got the same number as Eberle's got on the back of his jersey. It's 7-2.
Wow, and you know what? Just as you made that call, it actually happened on my feed. I wonder if it's going to be credited to Eberle. So somebody is going to join Matty Beniers with a multi-point game. And yeah, that one just seemed to float over the blocker of Wedgwood. I'm not sure if he had a clear look at it, but all of a sudden, it was in the back of the net. And yeah, John, 7-2. The Kraken bounced back, and now they have a goal shorthanded. They have a goal on the power play, and they have plenty of goals at even strength.
So I know they play Nirvana's song Lithium every time they mix it within the Let's Go Kraken, but does Lithium give you some kind of superpowers? Because this is incredible.
It absolutely is. And I'm sure I'm going to use the bad pun. You set me up for it, John. I have to. I'm sure each one of these fans at Climate Pledge is in Nirvana at this very moment. They are seeing one of the most dominant, I would say the most dominant win in Kraken playoff history for sure. and one of their most dominant wins overall.
Yes, it is. Tanev with the sauce. This goes off the right side of the wall, and it looks like, again, I wouldn't expect anything less at this point, but Seattle is hungry for more. They're not done here with a minute 45 in the third. Here's Larsson as this goes D. Big bomb for Vince Dunn. You know he's got one. And this goes right in the catching glove of Wedgwood.
Yeah, and so even though Eberle was getting some of the camera shots on the TBS side here, right now the goal is the third of the playoffs for Schultz of the Kraken. They have it as unassisted, which I'm not sure is going to stand. I would think that was a deflection goal. So yeah, at least on the TBS side, they have assists to Tolvanen and Wenberg, which I think is more accurate. I just saw that pop up. So there you go. So Schultz from Tolvanen and Wenberg. And now just about 90 seconds to play here, John. This thing's going to close out in moments, and Dallas is going to have to do some soul searching, aren't they?
They are, because I know it's just a 2-1 swing, but the way that I've seen Seattle pretty much get outplayed in Game 2, I'm saying it the right way. Look at what's going on with Dallas in Game 3, and this is going to be set up for a big-time Game 4 in a handful of nights. As there's a broken stick picked up by Bjorkstrand, but he couldn't settle it down. He's got it, though. It's down to minute 5, looking for a deflection. Wedgwood got absolutely smoked. I wouldn't be surprised if there's an answer and a late cross-check the other way against Yanni Gourde. They're not going to like any Seattle players running into Wedgwood.
Yeah, no, it's Dallas retaliating here, I think, for the way this game is gone. And Yanni Gourde was on the receiving end of a little extra physicality right there. But yeah, Wedgwood was sent back into his own net a little bit. But Yanni Gourde, yeah, he gets dropped right there. I actually just saw it. Boy, that was pretty blatant. So if I'm seeing this correctly, John, I'm sure you're already seeing it. It's another power play for Seattle.
Yeah, that's tied to Landry with a really hard cross-check and a smack to the back of the head. So they're not liking what's going on with Yanni Gourde, but he's a tough man. I know he can take it, but those cross-checks, whether or not you're wearing some extra padding in there, I imagine that does not feel good.
No, that can't feel good, because when you're facing big number 2 and Wyatt, Hopkins got about 8 inches of height on Yanni Gourde, and then Delandria gives him the blatant, not even trying to disguise the cross to the lower back, and the padded punch to the back of the dome. Yeah, you're going to go for at least 2.
So a minute left. I mean, again, I keep saying this. Look at the sight that you see on the screen. I know we're trying to give you it on the radio waves and the dial side, but this is fantastic at Climb Pledge Arena right now with all these fans and the towels and all the sights and sounds. I mean, this is about as good as it gets. I don't even care how long it is as far as Seattle's hockey existence. This is a dominating playoff win against a very good team in the Dallas Stars. They have just iced it with 49 seconds left. And now I get a chance to look at a muted Joe Pavelski. He's not on the score sheet tonight after having 5 in the first 2 games.
Yeah, and neutralizing Joe Pa, keeping him off the score sheet. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if that was on the bulleted list of Dave Hakstol's to-dos for this Kraken team, and they definitely did that tonight. So
Colin Miller will pick this up now, and we get a whistle away from the play, and now we may get some extracurricular. It looks like Domi and Geeky. I know Geeky because of the pink visor. I think it's a chance for Domi, but the refs are not letting them separate at the moment.
Yeah, not surprised. Domi's got some skills, but you know what? He is Ty Domi's son. That blood runs in his veins. He's not afraid to mix it up, and he was right there near center ice. But the referees do step in, and yeah, he's got that signature pink visor. But Domi seemed like he really wanted a piece of him, John.
He did, and I saw in the late end of it, and you'll see it now. Max Domi gave him a slash right to the back of the legs, and Geeky took exception of it, as he should.
Yeah, you're right. And Domi and Geeky both sent back to the room, so that's going to be it for them with just a few seconds to go here in this game.
So I don't think we're going to see any type of Nikita Zadorov, Colorado Avalanche type fights that we ended up covering there. Again, that was months ago, but you remember it well. But this is sent the other way now with 30 seconds left to go in the third. This is going to be a humongous victory for the Seattle Kraken as we got about 20 seconds left. So now this is sent across the right side of the faceoff dot. We're down to 15 seconds. Susie can't get it out. Dallas will try to make a half hastily chase at this thing. They're not too interested right now as the towels continue to wave, the seconds and minutes tick down, and the Seattle Kraken have taken a 2-1 series lead. They get a dominating 7-2 victory over the Dallas Stars at Climate Pledge.
What a night, John. What a night, especially if you're a fan of these Seattle Kraken. And they are not the upstart Seattle Kraken anymore. They're no one's little brother. They are a big player in this playoff year, and they are not to be trifled with. Dallas knows that now after the Stars had, as you mentioned a couple of times, the Stars had a very a dominant victory. Seattle comes back and says, well, you know what? We know how to do that too. And they absolutely did it on home ice. They got every seat filled, and every one of those fans is on their feet and cheering for Philip Grubauer, and each of those players giving him a fist bump and a little head tap right there. John, what a night. Again, 7-2. Not what I expected. I think we both thought the Kraken would bounce back, but this is more than a bounce, man. They have rocketed forward in this series. Again, it's just a 2-1 lead in this second round, but after a game like this, you have to really like the prospects of the Seattle Kraken moving forward.
Absolutely on that side, because it really comes down to a best of 3 at that point. And again, you get a dominating win, and I give you full marks. You were on the front foot as far as some of these other predictions and thinking about what was going to happen. So that's full marks on you. And that's why we always have the experts in the broadcast to give us the analysis. So good job by you, Cooper, on that side. So I can't imagine you got to be feeling on cloud 9 from what you're seeing right now.
Yeah, you know what? It's such a fun feeling, and this is so new. I mean, obviously, we're in the second year of existence for this franchise, and for them to be where they are right now, and now halfway in round 2 to the Western Conference Final, and as we've noted, Dallas continues to deserve. They've earned our respect. They deserve it. They're a team that can absolutely turn things around. They know how to do it. They have the roster to do it. But the Kraken, man, oh man, wasn't a 3-2 win, wasn't a 2-1 win, didn't need overtime. This thing was essentially over about halfway through the second. And remember, and John, you pointed this out, we were going 0-0 into the second period. And the Kraken blew the roof off of this thing, and we finish up with a final of 7-2. And just to make a quick note, John, of course, we get Matty Beniers his due. For a time, he was the only multi-point scorer for the Kraken, but he ends up one of 4 multi-point getters tonight. So each with a goal and assist tonight. We got Matty Beniers, Schultz, Tolvanen, and Wenberg, which leads me to my final question for you. Let's try to lock them in. I think we know 2 of the names. Where are we going to place them in our 3 stars, John, and who is joining Grubauer and Matty Beniers?
Man, I mean, it's so easy to give it to like another multi-goal scorer there, but I also think with a +3 in multi-points, Eberle Tolvanen, he definitely deserves that marker.
I like it. I think that's a great play. I was potentially going that way. I mentioned it before. I really like what I saw from Wenberg tonight, and I think I was dazzled by the fact that he went bar down. But I'm going to go actually with Justin Schultz, who is, and again, this is not the most important stat in hockey anymore with kind of advanced analytics, but with a +3 and multi-points,
yes,
Justin Schultz, goal and an assist. I know that the goal wasn't necessarily the most important. It was actually the last of the evening, but he's out on the ice when good things are happening, and so for that reason, I'm going to give him star number 3. I'm going Matty Beniers number 1, Philip Grubauer your second star, and for me, star number 3, Justin Schultz.
Well, I appreciate that with the Matty number 1. Number 1 in my heart, no doubt about it.
Yes, sir. No, and I would say that even if I were doing this one solo, he looked good tonight. It's great to have him contributing not only as a goal scorer, but he continues to set up his teammates. You can see it in his eyes. I feel like a little bit of a new breath of fresh air for him. And let's hope that this opens the door wider for him to continue to contribute. And we both know, this is a point we made earlier in our broadcast, it's not always just about the stats, because he does so many things that aren't on the stat sheet, but man, when he's contributing the numbers as well, look out, anyone who's playing the Kraken.
Yeah, and keep in mind, again, as we said, the same thing for Robertson, Matty Beniers is just 20 years of age, so he's still learning the NHL game on the fly and still playing on the first line.
Yes, he is, and that's the right place for him. And I love it. I love that he's up there. He has not folded at all under the responsibility of being in that position. And yeah, look out for number 10. And John, I'm really excited where this series is headed. Glad we could do this tonight. And I know you're a busy man, so we may not be able to link up again right away, but I know we'll have some more Kraken games coming up for us.
I know we will, and I'm just going to take maybe about a minute and a half or so here. I know it's no easy transition, but I think I'd be doing myself a disservice and everybody else if we didn't at least mention everything that was going on in Texas. So it was a really chilling thing, and I'll just make this a quick story. I was watching a movie with Lauren the other day, and it was kind of like just what happened about like school shootings and things like that. And then we end up seeing some of the very next day in the mall at Allen, Texas, where someone pulls out an AR-15 and kills 8 people. And then you also had a traffic accident alongside Texas, which took out 8 people. So I don't know what was going on today, but it really chilled my phone and chilled my mind and everything else when I saw and looked at it and said, we're right now, we got the date correct. It's May 8th. This is the 200th shooting in the U.S. this year already.
Yeah, John, it's, and these are things now that are happening so frequently that, as has been noted many times, it's almost hard for these things to stay in the news cycle and for us to be able to pay attention to them and give the respect and the reverence that's due. These are human beings who are no longer here with us because of senseless violence, and it's not restricted to any certain state, any certain county that may or may not vote one way or the other. It might be a red county, a blue county. It's in the Northeast. It's in the American Southwest. It's on the West Coast. This now happens across our country, and it is, I think, as important as the health of our country in terms of the coming out of COVID-19 and a pandemic. This is now an ongoing pandemic. It's just not a virus.
Right.
It's something that we are sick with, and there is no. I mean, neither of us are here to try to suggest the solution or say anything other than just that this deserves attention and should not be happening. It seems to me that a change is long overdue. It's a tough conversation to have because it deals with our Constitution and amendments and people's rights. I understand that, but there are fewer people alive and enjoying their existence tonight because of senseless violence. It's a really tough one.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we touched on that because, again, I think Cooper said it beautifully on that side. It's one of the situations where you can talk about amendments and gun laws, and I'm not here to dictate any kind of solutions or anything else like that. Again, that's for people much smarter than I am. But we can at least tell you this point, I think we both agree on this, mental health is definitely not in the situation where it needs to be in the United States, because you look at some of these other countries, it doesn't happen anywhere near remotely as often, but again, it just seems like an afterthought. It happens so much times in the U.S., and it's just awful to think of it that way, but 200, really? I mean, you're telling me we're going to be on pace for almost 500 of these things at the end of the year? Where are we as a society? Mental health certainly isn't talked about enough, but it's so very important. And I hope that whatever ends up bothering people in their daily lives, that just make sure you talk with people, have a close-knit friends circle. If you have a problem, don't keep it inside. Make sure you keep everything else in check, because that's the most important, is don't struggle alone. So things like this don't happen.
Yeah, John, you know what? You said it best, and I think that you made a great point. It's part of the problem is that we connect less and we rely on each other a little bit less, and it's, it can be hard to trust other people, and it can be hard to admit when we're struggling. But I think if we found a way to do that a little bit more, you would like to think, maybe it's a bit pie in the sky, but you'd like to think that tragedies like these would be fewer and further between.
Yeah, I think that's well said on that side. So that's where we will end it. So Cooper and I know we will connect probably next week, because I'll have one more assignment tomorrow, maybe Thursday, and then it'll be the weekend with the Sharks. So hopefully everybody has a good weekend on the side of Mother's Day. I'll be part of a Mother's Day matinee game, so I'll definitely have to make that up with my mom this weekend on that side. But I will definitely catch up with you next week, Cooper, if I don't see you any earlier.
You got it, pal. What a great night tonight, a fun one. Didn't have the drama of that Panthers win earlier in the night, but man, oh man, we watched the Kraken reach a new level. They are reaching new heights, and it's special to see. So have a great week, my friend, and please let me know. I know you sent me the info before, but if you ever have a moment, let me know. I can watch the Sharks coverage that you have coming up, and I'll be rooting for them and for you as well. And then we'll get back on the mic again soon and keep covering these NHL playoffs.
Yeah, we'll see how far the Kraken can go. Good luck, my friend. Have fun with all this stuff, and we will talk soon.
Yes, sir.
See you.